All right. So I'll switch up the vibe here. Previously in Eridon, the Forsaken Winds have currently gathered some sheltered occupation in Athenian, the Moonset Grove, home to Telperian's people, the Ethel Wingate, the Mooncrest Elves. You guys have recently escaped the clutches of Talon Moira of Durast and now shelter in place with your allies and recuperate and plan for the near future. But Jiri's mind state was determined to be a high priority, tending to him and Hyperivel, the patron entity bound to him in this hex metal dread iron liquid form within his veins. You've had a busy day. I believe it was the 17th of Sun's Dawn, as Tobirama reached out with high-level magic to divine quite a bit of information on this Hyperivel, Jiri's patron, determining that he is some sort of fallen or broken solar of some ancient deity. And you all entered Jiri's mind thereafter with the assistance of the Eclipse to free your friend from the weight of his past memories that you felt all caused more harm than they caused good. After severing the connection to Jax and other entities' past memory forms within Jiri's mind, Jiri now sort of occupies a new status of whatever Jiri might now be. But quickly you also moved on to Nightfall Forge, gaining the assistance of one of the moonsmiths, Kilana Silwind. And at the behest of the Aranil herself, Mithril was provided as a tempering agent to introduce to Hyperivel's dread iron form, so that it might both temper and strengthen the metal itself, but also temper in the sense of counterbalancing the magic of the Shadowfell present in the dread iron with some Fey touched emphasis that accompanies the creation of Mithril. And now Jiri has been bound once more to the hex metal and Hyperivel, seemingly with some sense of new personality and outlook by Hyperivel, who now is more interested in assisting Jiri, very thankful for the connection that they've made, rather than being lost endlessly in some unknowable limbo state. Jiri, I apologize for any past grievances you've had to suffer at my account. I have felt disjoined, disconnected. But I will assist you however I can. You have kept me safe and sheltered and given me a foundation within which I can even contemplate the world around us. What will you do? Where do your motivations and priorities lie? I would very well wish to facilitate your priorities rather than indulging my own and forcing you toward them. Please reflect on this, as I am now at your command.
Well, it really wasn't me that did all the work to free us. It was our friends. So I think we should look after them and see what we can do to help them for now. I think we owe them a great service, a great debt. Just as your memories were lost, mine were as well. So I think we need some time to think about what we want with life. But for now, I think we should serve them and help them out.
Kilana Silwind, the moonsmith who facilitated this tempering process of forging within Nightfall Forge, begins to speak now hearing you converse. And let's go ahead and jump zooms because we got less
Oh,
than
right.
1 minute.
Which one's killing? Oh, Smith. Uilanna.
There were just some weird audio things that just happened. But were you looking for Kilana's spelling?
Yeah, I heard you wrote it, so I hope I'm right.
That audio was from us, by the way, I think. Doing weird things.
Thank you.
Kilana Silwind, mother of Talia, who is one of the close friends of Minerva.
Slime.
Kilana speaks, hearing Jiri sort of self-converse with some internal dialogue. Master Jiri, do I take it the binding was successful? How do you feel?
Oh, I haven't felt this peaceful in a really long time. There's not so many voices inside my head. It's just mine and I guess High Paravol. Yeah. I feel at peace now, but I'm still trying to understand who or what I am, I guess. I don't know. I've lived so long, I guess, thinking I was Jajiri, Jarl of Jaland, this great heroic person, and now not even sure who I am or what I am.
Well, perhaps only you can begin to answer those questions, but you remind me of a point that I'd like to make. You have gathered quite the reputation across the Selethar, at least, and I imagine the army at large. And tales have spoken of your ability to conjure a dark blade that you wield. Would you mind trying to summon it for us here and now?
Okay. Adras, what do you think? Think it's time we see if we still have our powers.
Not Aldros.
Or sorry.
Paravel.
Hi, Paravel. It's gonna take a while to get used to that.
You can call him Hype.
Oh, Hype, I like it.
I mean, just keep calling him Dad. I think he's probably might not used to it.
Daddy.
This will take a vibe.
And Jiri will take his sheath. I'm assuming his sheath is empty, doesn't have his summoned sword in it. And he'll hold it out in front of him. And he'll begin the process that he's usually done to summon his sword. He'll say his little saying that he used to do when he summoned it. Actually, he probably needs a new saying since it doesn't. He'll still call it Adras the Stormbender for now. And he'll attempt to summon his sword. Like in his sheath. He's gonna see if it'll like appear there and then he'll draw it.
As you begin to conjure it from your sheath, you feel your veins pulse and you summon it more quickly than usual.
Ooh.
And Hyperavel says in your mind, "This is a new sensation. Jiri, something's different. Draw the blade from its scabbard."
And then Jiri will take it and he'll do like a flourish with it and draw it out and kind of just swipe it through the air.
Two things are available to you now, Jiri. Number one, summoning the sword is now a bonus action rather than needing an action. Minor tweak there.
Cool.
But you may also please remove the Levin Blade of Shade from your inventory. And you can add Shadow Storm.
What the fuck?
Okay.
As you draw the long sword, it looks mostly the same as the Levin Blade of Shade, but now it is tempered with veins of mithril that stretch throughout the dread iron metal, almost like arcs of cyan silver, the color of mithril, almost like arcs of electricity that are permanently frozen in place along the pattern of the blade.
This is
And
looking
the
at
blade and the blade leaves this trail of shadow and crackling energy in the wake of its movement. And it comes with some adjustments to the mechanics of this weapon.
I picture Jiri like staring, like he's reading as he's thinking about these adjustments. Like, too.
Jiri is typing.
Yeah. We see a dot 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 over his head.
And I'm just gonna do this just to see what to show what it looks like. But when I do my like focus as well, like I've always imagined it like the blade starts to shed this kind of like dark steam on it, and it still sheds this dark steam when he's like in his focused Hexblade's curse kind of state. But inside the steam is that like lightning pattern now as well that you see, almost like it like a lightning storm inside this like this dark mist that flows off of the blade.
Yeah, you can tell that that sort of arcing energy, very lightning-esque, which has been present there before due to the nature of one of the fusion's sources, the Levin's edge originally, but now it seems like the mithril veins are sort of like facilitating energy escaping the dread iron more so than they were able to before, as the dread iron was sort of suffocating some of Hyperivel's power. This vein of mithril is almost facilitating its release more.
Cool. Awesome. Similar, except for now it does extra 1d8 damage on hits instead of a d6. So a boost. Very cool.
Yep. There's also an extra feature in there that is not always going to happen, but may be meaningful. And then the ranged attack for it, I've tweaked the language so that it might become more viable and appealing to use in the future.
Nice roll, Jiri.
Very well. I'm very pleased to see the introduction of the mithril has taken root in this dark metal dread iron. My suspicion is that it may alter the very properties of the dread iron it's bound to, hopefully facilitating positive change. But let me know if there is any information you wish to learn of Mithril's properties and what I might surmise may be the case with its combination with dread iron. This is all very new to us, but we might be able to draw some conclusions. I look forward to hearing how it manifests in your sword play.
I don't know much of this metal mithril. Can you tell me where it comes from?
Mithril was, although it is heavily used in Elvish culture and has roots in the Fae, it is commonly acknowledged that dwarves were the first to find it deep in the recesses of the Underdark, far below the surface of the world. It would seem that where dark shadow occurred, which could facilitate entrances, weakenings of the veil, and portals to the Shadowfell, energy of the Fae sort of naturally began to seep through to oppose those circumstances. And so where shadow planar magic can be found, so too occasionally can the touch of the Feywild manifest on ores, generally silver deposits, will take on a different coloration and hue where the Feywild's energy seeks to oppose the shadow. And therefore has connections to our entire history and other planar magics. But it, in its essence, will always oppose the magic of the Shadowfell. And therefore, this creation of Dread Iron by Moira that for some reason used Shadowfell planar magic in its creation.
Are there other metals we might seek out on our journey that could potentially also be used to help strengthen Hyperival and my connection to him?
Perhaps. One of the only instances I can think of off the top of my head would be, again, that of the dwarves. They have found other uses for mithril, tempering it into something stranger and stronger, known as adamantine. However, it forsakes the lightness and finesse qualities of mithril in favor of weightier impenetrability. I'm not sure whether this would provide boon or bane to mithril in the sense of Hyperivel's existence within your form. But it has also seemed to be the case that you have encountered other metals. I've heard tale of this Divinor or Celestial artifacts of old. I don't know how feasible or possible it would be to imbue their essence into your sword, but perhaps higher quality magical essence could enhance your blade as well. As I'm to understand, your blade is a combination of many items. I suspect if you are able to bind higher tier, more legendarily rare blades within Hyperivel's form, that could improve him further, but I am no expert on specifics there within.
Thank you for the information. We will definitely look out for other metals in the future. I don't think we've met dwarves before, so maybe we'll meet them on our journeys someday as well.
Very well. There are many enclaves of dwarven strongholds to the north, as well as perhaps to the east. I'm not aware of many in Chimeran lands, but where there are mountains, there are surely dwarven kind.
Well, thank you. And thank you for your help.
Of course. If you are in a state available to hear it, I believe the Aranil was quite insistent that after your recuperation and recovery, she and the creation queen that now resides here were eager to discuss the next steps of the United Kin Army's whereabouts. I suggest you check in with them as soon as you are ready.
Well, whenever the rest of us are ready as well. What do you think, guys?
I'm good.
Toby?
Very well.
Now that we've got you back in, let's call it tip-top shape, let's go take care of this.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Do let us know if there's anything else you require from Nightfall Forge. We will assist however we can. And you guys are welcome to head out of Nightfall Forge. And if you like, go pursue an audience with the Aranil and Queen Elia.
Do it.
I'll say it probably takes some 2 hours or so. It's a quick walk back to Nightlamp Palace, home to House of Silverbirch, House Nimberthill. But in order to gather Elia and the Aranil for an audience together, it takes some time for them to rejoin together and welcome you into an audience chamber. But rather quickly, now somewhat toward the evening of this day or so, they are available, and I will make them visible here. And they will greet you and excitedly, or at least very optimistically, receive the information that hopefully Jiri and Hyperivel are at least somewhat recovered, even if further recuperation is needed. Are you all ready to discuss the ongoing efforts of the army? The Arenal asks you all.
Yes.
Very well. Alaya, Queen of Creatia, has a unique proposal for how we might best utilize our remaining forces and resources. Alaya, the floor is yours. And Alaya steps forward and will basically task you with your next mission, at least as she sees it, unless there are other suggestions and proposals from your perspective, which will certainly be considered as variables. But Alaya will say that it is a high priority that we must rescue the forces at Mersenia that include the esteemed Verdant Lord General of the Selethar, Maethros Loonsong of House Nimberthill's royal family, as well as the countless Ithilwinge, Chimeran, and Creation allies captured there. Based on the language you've shared, by the witch Moira, as described by the pact Maethros himself enacted, it is not currently clear what level of threat they now face. He pursued and acquired their safekeeping, at least so that they would not be destroyed on the fields of west of Athros where they were captured. But now that they have been relocated, it is not clear, especially as your pact with Moira enacting their release within 1 month's time will no longer be reliably expected. Therefore, for all we know, they may be killed if we make a wrong move. Therefore, it is a delicate venture I now propose. I know intimately the complex arrangement of the Belladonian Senate and the way their ambition and decision-making works. I know for a fact that they will be forced to pause negotiations with Durast in the face of new variables that come to light in the Creation War stage. Therefore, the mission for Mersenia that I propose must not only be successful, but it must have resounding and rippling impact within popular culture, spread via word of mouth. In short, as uncouth as it may suggest, it must be a flashy victory. It must be exciting. As unimportant as that may seem, that will carry weight across the nation's populaces, and will certainly cause Belladonia to reconsider, or at least postpone, their entrance into the fray just a bit further. Thanks to the scouting efforts of the Beast King's most trusted druid spies, we know the location of where the majority of the forces are being held. In a stronghold just inside the boundaries of Mersenia's walls. I have a long history in Creatia, and for various reasons have quite insightful knowledge of the subterranean caverns and pathways beneath the surface of this world, and commonly known as the Underdark, or at least in shades between certain mines, hidden tunnels that avail travel, particularly of past noble families or royalty or esteemed generals and forces that may have needed quick escape or unseen travel between locations. There is one available that will suit our purposes in this venture. But it comes with a challenge, and as Magnus, my noon, would eagerly point out to me, a failure of mine. There is an old tomb that lies beneath the walls of Mersenia, long abandoned and dormant. However, it has had a history of spirits and strange phenomenon causing the death of miners and nobles on the outside and insides of the palace that would make use of this tunnel in centuries and decades past. That tomb has so far been very infrequently been probed at by our forces, and then was determined to be caved in for the safekeeping of our people rather than indulging our curiosity further. This tomb presents an obstacle that would connect, that sits in the center of a pathway that would connect one of the mines of Mersenia outside the boundaries of the walls to this stronghold where we believe all the forces, or most of them, are housed within. What I
Chris, can
propose...
I ask someone? Oh, no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If Rome has a question, go, or you have a question to DM, absolutely.
I was just wondering, could we see this on the map?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
But I do need the queens over the map.
We can flash. Yeah, I can pull them in. That's
You
no
don't need
problem.
to.
Yeah,
Hey,
actually,
I'm
we'll
a
just
player. I
flash
have
back.
rights.
We'll just flash back to the other screen shortly.
Actually, this is good to leave up because I'm gonna want this in a little bit anyway.
Let me.
Need Dallin Shalon to make this map. Oh, don't say that. Shouldn't say that.
Okay. Let's start marking up here in red.
So she said our forces are in Mersenia, not their forces.
Yeah, as in the captured forces of the Selethar, the forces you all lost with Mathros have now been escorted, seemingly, from the location in Athros where they were taken to the closest Durastian establishment, away from Athros, which is now functionally within the United Kin Army's control.
Queen, what are the Durastians doing now? Are they trying to keep Ostend safe? Are they moving through Croatia towards Bellidonia? And are we to take the forces, if I presume you're asking us to maybe clear this obstacle, would we be taking the forces back through, or claiming Mersenia as a launching ground for an assault on Ostendis?
This would be a full-out assault to claim Mersenia, and there's a couple variables in flanks we must consider in this effort, and I have a unique request of you all. But as I mentioned early this morning when we met, I have a proposal that we must launch an all-out offensive moving northward, because if we are able to take Ostennis, I believe we will facilitate Bellidonia choosing our side rather than Durast. It will be extremely dangerous from our end, but could dramatically turn the tides of this war. Mersenia is a stepping stone in order to free our troops, bolster our forces, claim additional ground in Croatia, and will pause, in my opinion, Belladonia's negotiations with Durast, buying us time to make an additional move. Right now, it seems that in the wake of your capture, we haven't been able to gather much intel since the time of your escape in the past 24, 48 hours. But it is likely that Ostennis, as their current stronghold within Croatia, will be going through turmoil, reassessing direction, renegotiating Talon's and the king himself's priorities in Croatia. They will not take lightly the fact that we are seizing ground in Croatia. Functionally, the eastern and now southern, primarily, portion of Croatia is functionally mostly under the United Kin Army's control, outside of perhaps forces available in the Tri-Post and Cardigan Post. But allow me a moment. We currently find ourselves in Athenian, home to House Nimberthil, in the center of the westward portion of the Emerald Forest. We suggest that we must, within 2 weeks' time or so, begin a sprint march toward Mersenia, to ally ourselves with another flank of forces from Atheros, where High Commander Rillis and Commander Dinah now take hold and organize the troops there with my noon Magnus. What I'm proposing is that there is a mine. There are a series of mines south of Mersenia, perhaps the only location that provides as much veritite ore to the capital as Cardigan Post, and is a very valuable resource for us in this nation. But there is a specific mine that is essentially the southern portion of a tunnel that connects the outskirts of Mersenia to this stronghold within, that I suspect Duras does not realize is where the location they're holding their forces, which has been a barracks and military post for centuries in Mersenia, does connect to a location outside the walls. However, there is an obstacle in a caved-in tomb that lies beneath that location. We will need, perhaps, you all to infiltrate, make it through this caved-in tomb, and come up within the boundaries of Mersenia.
I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna cast Detect Magic and see if I sense any source of, is it divination magic? Is probably what I'm on the look for in terms of scrying and.
Sure. You're gonna go ahead and cast that as an action.
Yeah, just cast Detect Magic.
Spell slot.
Yep.
Action. As you cast your Detect Magic, you see glyphs light up in a bright silvery blue coloration, spaced every 6 feet or so, that sort of create this lattice work of arcane presence within all the walls, roofs, and floor of this space. And you see it's a very potent abjuration-based magic. The Aranil herself holds up a hand as you cast that spell, suggesting for Elia to pause. Toby Rama, what do you see?
I was, as we are discussing our most important battle strategy, making sure we were not being listened in on again, as happened to us quite recently.
Perhaps I cannot see the glyphs the princess transcribed here, but Princess Minerva has developed a sort of sanctum-based spell that will protect and keep out scrying eyes, as well as I perhaps should have availed you of the knowledge. Teleportation magic will be impossible within here for some remaining 18 hours or so. Suffice to say that Princess has found within her capability of arcane magic the ability to lock down a location for 24 hours, preventing scrying, divining magics, teleportation, planar magics, suitable. We prioritized this and requested that she research the matter so that the Talon Moira, for example, would not be able to check in on our very important militaristic insights.
It is quite thorough and quite competent, so I just felt
Indeed.
the need to
So we are
verify that.
free to speak freely. Elia knows this. I apologize for not detailing that to you all in your entrance.
I like nudge Roulette. I'm like, that's my sister. They used to make fun of her, because she practiced arcane magic. No one really does that here.
Toby Rama, as long as you are satisfied, I'd allow Elia to resume. And Elia suggests that the mission here is to, in 2 weeks' time, you guys are welcome to recuperate, pursue downtime activities in the next 2 weeks as needed, as desired. But in 2 weeks' time, once they've had time to gather and organize enough forces of the Selethar and potentially Birdfolk reinforcements from the south, you guys will need to, at nighttime, engage in a military clash of warfare with Mersenia. The goal would be to shield any knowledge of the five of you's presence. So, functionally within warfare, when you guys hit half health points, your commander is revealed. The goal is to not have a single commander be revealed by the time you achieve your victory conditions in this clash, because as you draw, and the goal is to set fire to several of the Durastian encampments on the south side of their siege defenses, that will draw a large portion of Durastian attention to the south. And for the eastward flank with Rillis and Dinah's command and their larger forces to then pincer in from the east, an all-out assault, giving Duras some whiplash of attention and prioritization to then scramble and reinforce that flank of this defensive wall. But as soon as you guys achieve victory conditions on your southern flank, you five are to strafe away from the forces you command, allowing them to reinforce the others as you infiltrate the mines, this one specific mine. Should you then delve there within, subterranean, and find this caved-in tomb and find your way through it, ultimately pop up on the other side, free the captured forces, and then attack the walls from within as your allies continue to attack from without, and hopefully crumble the Mersenian defense of those walls by Durast. And if the walls can be taken, surely that city can be quickly taken by the number of your forces. Should that be possible, then it would be up to an all-out assault on Ostennis in primary direct warfare, as you guys should then have the numbers and the locations to be able to, in theory, overpower Durast. However, they will certainly be reinforcing their position in Ostennis from their depots in Septellus and Durast beyond. But they're not going to send all their forces there because they still need to maintain presence in their positions as well. So there's a path to victory here in Creatia, even if very dangerous.
I like the way you
what Elia proposes.
Using the forces from the inside is stellar.
We will need to find ways to arm them, and the fact that it is a military barracks stronghold that you will be infiltrating hopefully means there will be adequate supplies and weaponry in Durast's arsenal as they've reinforced that location. So it will come with its own challenges of destroying and routing through Durastian forces within. But if you can free the forces, the numbers should, and the presence of the eastern siege front should be able to overpower what Durast expects from any warfare effort in that location. And they will be reinforcing their position in Ostennis, where they will be certainly trying to bolster their defenses in Mersenia, but they will not have the resources available if they want to also secure Ostennis.
How many soldiers roughly are inside Mersenia now? How many of our forces were taken?
It would be whatever forces you marched in with. So some several hundred, perhaps under 1,000, but a meaningful amount. And then the forces at Athros, reinforced by the Beast King's forces to the east and those sheltering at Force Hollow and Elandris at the command of Rillis and Dinah, would be a substantial amount, perhaps some 2,000 or 3,000 available. As along those lines of thought, I will let the Aranil herself discuss our available resources, but an atypical arrangement of forces will be available to us in this northward march. And I'll bring us to the unit selection screen, as the unit selection will be a little bit different and more limited this time, as primarily Selithar and some reinforcements of birdfolk from the south will be available. Nora mercenaries are not available in this adventure, for they have all been captured, or some remainders have been still in Forest Hollow. But Rome will still have access to your fauna following, 1 unit of Oricor, and a couple units of Selethar available. So keep this in mind as we begin to march forward. This is about the remainder of the forces we can possibly facilitate across all of our positions in the Emerald Forest. This will essentially extract what available military might we have left for the fray amongst our people.
Are we being asked a question right now?
No, just
Okay.
given information for
Got it.
consideration. But these are the efforts that I propose. The Aranil has been most gracious in her willingness to entertain my, what many might consider reckless tactical proposal. I do think it is unquestionably will prove effective, but I do not take it for granted that I request the aid of a people not my own, who have been overtly gracious in your efforts in aiding the creation people already. And for that I am most thankful. But you all will need to command these units forward, but then leave their side immediately upon victory and pursue the mine location. The mine itself will likely be reinforced too, defended with Durastine encampments. There will be attendants that oversee those working the mines, perhaps various knights and squadrons there. It will be a battle to get into the mine. But once we have penetrated that location, hopefully your ventures within the mines are a simple maze of wandering rather than overt danger, until you perhaps find the tomb and whatever mysterious entities lurk there within that we have not been able to clear out in my time as queen.
Is there a more specific name to this tomb? If it's true what you say and many have died there, I may be able to glean some information upon further prayer.
Magnus himself was eager to explore this location. I was erring on the side of caving it in immediately for the safekeeping of my people, but Magnus suggested that there could be much to be gleaned and learned from this location, as it has, in some ways, draconic ancestries and ties. He sent a number of scouts into those locations. However, many were killed and fell prey to the dangers there within. But those that returned, injured and hindered, suggested draconic text adorned the walls, draconic symbols and heraldries, as well as some reverence in its depictions of the golden moon, as that we know as Almeida. The moon seemed to be centralized in its location, in that perhaps, Aranil, if there is any information your kind can weigh in on the nature of this golden moon and what it may mean, its history, etc., perhaps that can be available. We just know that was used heavily in the iconography of that tomb. But the draconic text did not, was not legible by our scouts that we sent in, so we're not aware of language or prayers or words they might have used in the tomb's description.
Zoom.
As I stop there, let's hop zooms. But yes, perhaps further research into the moon, and I do not know if the Golden Moons, if it lies under the domain of the Seldrin goddess Sehanin, the moon weaver, or if it is separate. Perhaps the Aranel and your people can make us aware of more information there. But otherwise, I have limited knowledge on the tomb. Other than the idea that some of the scouts that returned with injuries claimed that sand spirits attacked them there. So I cannot necessarily claim to know what lies within, but at least some sort of spiritual magics protect it from without. But I request this of all of you. Venture north alongside the forces of this army and delve into this dungeon and come up on the other side and free our forces. Are you amenable to this proposed task? Very well. I will be around, as will Kari, my dusk, if you have need of us, but otherwise I suspect you may have many matters that call to your attention in the next 2 weeks as we prepare the Northern March. I wish to march alongside all of you as well. I will not command a military unit. That has not been my domain, but I will assist you however I can, and I wish to march back into Creatia and rejoin with Magnus, who will be accompanying Rillis and Dinah toward Mersenia.
Queen Elia, I don't know, Queen Elia, what conversations you've had with the Aranel on this matter, but the forces we'd be sending are primarily Selethar. And a hard question I have is, if we are able to recuperate those forces, the risk to my people would be less if we then came back here safely with our verdant lord. If you wish us to press, and I like the idea, what I want to know now that you are here, and we actually can have this conversation and not just gamble on your goodwill, like we did when we initialized this combat. What can the Ithilwinge look forward to if we are to take Creatia back? I'm not asking for riches or some trifle, but this enterprise should not just be that the elves then rush back to their forest and safeguard themselves. Mother, I don't know if you have something you're hoping for, but I think some kind of partnership in the future is something we should be entertaining, should this risk of ours pay off for you.
Queen Elia actually looks down for a moment, sort of contemplative, almost breaking for a moment from otherwise a very poised, pragmatic, and disciplined visage. And she then looks up to the Aranel and just gives a nod and looks back to you and says, "You are wise to consider these matters, and the Aranel and I have begun to discuss at length what future benefits this union can hold. It has become clear that the Ithilwinge and the Chimeran kind of the South have already begun to put aside past grievances in the name of new unities. Suffice to say, in short, that the Ithilwinge will permanently and forever be a staunch ally of Creatia. You will be able to maintain your independence outright. We would never claim to assimilate the Emerald Forest as part of Creatia, and the Aranil has been generous enough to not require creation land be taken by Ithilwinge forces. However, we will see to it with all of our forces and social power that the Ithilwinge and the kind of the Chimerans are welcome allies in Creatia. You'll be able to come and go as you please, receive honored attendance and hospitality in our lands, it will not be easy to push out overnight biases that may have become entrenched in people's minds for centuries, but that is primarily a Durastian and Belladonian prejudice that has lingered. I have proudly fought for this open-mindedness in my time as queen, as have some of my past kings and queens before me. There can be specifics devoted and treaties developed as necessary, and your mother, the Aranil, has already had some suggestions, but do know that future benefit will befall your people wherever I can facilitate it. As well, we do not ask for unwavering and, suffice to say, the beast kind, the bird folk, and your people have started this war on our behalf. But now that Olandris and Atheros have been taken for us, and if I believe this path will go this way, Mersenia too, all of the Glassguard captives taken in those locations will now fight at our side as well, facilitating innumerous forces available to us as well, as long as they don't have injuries assailing them. But as we have taken staging ground, we have too taken additional forces of creation soldiers that will fight for their homeland at my behest. I will make sure of this, and Magnus has already begun organizing those efforts. They will be marching toward Mersenia with Dinah and Rillis from the east.
I pull my sword out of the quiver and I hold it toward her. That is a good answer, and I like it. And I can see why so many respect your thinking and your tactics. This sword here belonged to my father, whom above all else I wish to rescue. Once that happens, you will have the sword and true at your service.
I continue to be deeply touched by your people's generosity in the face of what I understand are not just centuries but millennia of seclusion that I do not dismiss. I would not judge harshly your interest in safeguarding your own. And the fact that you all willingly come to our aid astounds me every day. And I wish to make use of it. I wish to make it count. And we will all benefit from this union for centuries and millennia to come. I accept your sword at the rescue of your father. Your swordsmanship specifically has gained renown, as has all of your efforts, looking across all 5 of you. Or 6, as she looks at a little construct near her roulette. Thank you all. I will forever be in your debt.
Six and a half. As I walk away, I say to Loaf.
Perfect. So now we can continue any RP conversations you guys wish to have, or otherwise we can start moving to, hey, let's go person by person. What are you interested in doing in downtime activities, or even if you want to do stuff today, you guys can guide how zoomed in or zoomed out we want to take this next chunk of content. What's you guys' vibe? We've been doing some RP conversations. I want to get everyone sort of engaged and interacting, however you guys want to do that.
Well, I've certainly got a little list of downtime activities, but that's more wide-spanning. I don't know if anyone has anything more specific for this specific day.
I just got to interact with an NPC for a good bit, so I'll go ladder in the circle of this.
Okay. How about Roulette Rome Jiri? What are we feeling?
I've got some stuff that I need to do during downtime, but I'll let Rome and Roulette go first.
Yeah, I have one thing that I would want to do, but it can wait till after Telperion.
I think Telbaron said he's all set, so
Oh, he's
you,
all set.
yeah, you go ahead.
I can go second to last if yours is like more flavorful at the end. It's up to you. I don't mind. I just didn't want to go now. Roulette, do you want to hit it off?
I'm gonna make some shit.
Roulette or
Complete my latest item, please.
Yeah, out of curiosity, not to force this on you, but there is also, at your leisure, Queen Elia is more than happy to help assist with the translation of Infernal on Moira's notes so that we can, you could tackle that whenever, but functionally you have access to that full PDF now whenever you want to. I think I sent it to you via email.
Oh, yes. Okay. That'll be whatever like the first night was or the first morning was.
I just wanted to clarify that you're more than welcome to dig into that at your leisure now, assuming that you chat with her and get her take on it. There's also a bunch of Moira loot that we could discuss briefly.
Yeah.
I was going to ask because
And I'm pretty aware of a lot of you guys' downtime interests, at least some of you. So happy to tackle those in order. Very eager to get to Roulette's specifically because it's been a long time coming. But yeah. Do we want to go over loot real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
I need to know how much I can spend.
Yeah, very fair. Okay. Also, some of this stuff is created in D&D Beyond. Some of it's not, based on how you guys might interact with it. I'm going to kind of create it as we go or as you guys want it, or figure out what it is. So I haven't done all of the setup, but I've done some. Okay, first of all,
I'm so fucking excited.
there is 1,152 silver pieces.
Ooh.
Wait, say that number again?
I'm typing it in the chat as well, but
Oh.
1,152 silver.
This loot brought to you by Reverend Rat.
I love that the rat sat there for so long.
3,418 gold.
Papal pest.
273 platinum.
Fuck yeah.
And as a reminder, there were 6 vials of Feral 5 virus. Roulette, I will just clarify off the top that although the creation of these involved magic, Identify alone will not get you full information on these because they're also a concoction of heavily used science. So there will need, if someone or you have available alchemist supplies, you can run some checks on trying to determine what these are. Because you have the fully translated notes of Moira, you can make those checks with advantage.
What was this? What was the formula she gave me? The additional one.
She also gave you, at least within the language of the notebook, which feel free to refresh yourself on, you also have the formula, the recipe for how to make a vial of Feral 5 virus.
What was the? She gave me something else afterwards.
There was also.
Wasn't
yes, that's right. So we'll do two things. Additionally, in the infernal notation of that, it sort of specifies what is required for a Feral 5 virus. And it's essentially, there's some bits and bobs and like sort of a crafting thing of like time frame and a cost component required and stuff. But two important components are sample of the subject's, the donor's blood, and samples of the recipient's blood. As well as a nature check involved to like go through the process of how do you make this vial from A to B, and then based on that, anyone could ingest the vial, not just the subject recipient sample, but it may have various effects. So there's a whole structure we can go through there.
Not that.
But the additional thing that Moira gave you I don't remember if I
Catalyst
Yes,
formula.
okay. I was curious if I used the word catalyst or not.
Yep.
But
Okay.
it
Perfect.
is a separate recipe for a catalyst serum that, when used on a branded individual, will facilitate a temporary transformation based on the donor's blood sample,
Got it.
or based on the branded's like their internal blood, based on what creature or creatures were imbued in their blood sample. It will facilitate essentially a polymorph.
Perfect. Thank you.
Can I ask a question about this as a player? Not Telperian's not thinking this. We saw someone use this potion once, and they turned it into like a crab thing, and like
That's
killed them.
correct.
Well, we killed them.
It did. Yes, they transformed and then wreaked havoc on a situation, ran away, and then you guys did end up killing that individual.
Maybe they were going to de-transform and we didn't see it.
I think based on Roulette's knowledge, based on Notebook, there are variations on the chaotic nature or the instability of these vials. So that will be part of evaluating each of these 6 Feral 5 viruses. They may come with varied amounts of, oh, this condition might be permanent until cured, or, oh, it gives this benefit but at this flaw, etc. So there are drawbacks. That individual seemed to get a real questionable vial that really fucked him up. His name was Rickle at the time.
Rome, they turned into a giant crab tentacle monster. It was gnarly.
That's so cool.
A Chul tentacle I have in my pocket still.
Yes,
this
you
whole
still have a tentacle of it. Yep.
Rickle.
So out of those 6 vials, there's basically a red that you guys know is Rage Essence. You guys have one of those. There's 2 green ones that you've never seen, a silvery one, a bright cyan, like almost neon radioactive blue color, and then a Banta Black gaseous form of dread iron, it would seem. So upon some alchemist checks and stuff, you guys can try and understand what those do. But there's also a bottle of Magebane poison.
Oh shit.
There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spell scrolls.
What?
And I'll let someone like investigate those before I start telling you which spells they are. And then there are a couple other things. I mentioned this last time, but there's a handful of other broken and intact glass beakers, metal instruments for experimentation, a bunch of spell components that are all valuable within sort of laboratory experimental components Moira had that you guys just dumped into the portable hole. So there's sort of an amorphous value attached to those. But then there's some very nice jewels and gemstones. There are 5 identical diamonds. A large piece of uncut alexandrite. And a beautiful, I would say, golf ball sized black pearl.
And that doesn't seem like an item to itself. That's just a component.
Agree. Yes. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, these seem non-magical, just very valuable components. Finally, there is one sort of envelope of papers that, upon opening, looks like some sort of correspondence, but it's all written in Infernal. Roulette, if you're including this in your interaction with Elia to translate this Infernal, it will reveal that this is correspondence from a being known as the Maker to Moira. Some sort of correspondence detailing the inner workings of the creation of the infernal spheres that he has created by using a precedent of impressive construct tech that they acquired from Force Hollow, functionally Alfie. And he's been able to repurpose the way it has worked with infernal magics and iron that facilitates more easily, widely distributable and creatable spheres that aren't as durable as the original Steel Defender, but are more widespread. And they have implemented dozens of these into the defense of Ostennis. And he found, in quote unquote, he found another use for the construct's mithril wiring that he's excited to show her someday. So functionally, that mithril wiring still exists and can be re-procured. Possibly.
Roulette, what do you think these scrolls are?
And I want to look through them and see what they are.
Sure, out of curiosity, Telperion, you can make some... I'll say Roulette's Arcana is so high, she's probably going to get it, but you can make some Arcana checks to see if you can decipher what these are.
All right, just like one check or a lot of them? Roll a 6. 9 total.
9 total. At least on the first one, looks like gibberish. Definitely higher magic than you can cast, and therefore are not familiar with the sequence of runes.
Roll a 4, a 7 on the second.
Same
These
thing.
are hard.
Yeah, so you start looking into them and are struggling to put together their arcane sequences. But Roulette, for fun, you want to just roll an Arcana check? $14 is enough to decipher
18.
1, 2, 3. Oh, 18 is enough to decipher all of them. Scroll of Intellect Fortress.
Hey, I know this one.
3rd level spell. Scroll of Magic Circle.
Very nice.
Another 3rd level spell. Scroll of Elemental Bane, which is a 4th level spell. Scroll of Planar Binding.
Holy fuck.
Which is a 5th level spell.
What a combo.
Scroll of Summon Fiend, specifically Devil variation, which is a 6th level spell. Scroll of Flesh to Stone, which is a 6th level spell. And the highest level is a Scroll of Plane Shift. That obviously in the creation of this spell goes to a specific location. It's not an amorphous used to go wherever you want. It is tied to some sort of infernal location.
Holy shit, what if that's her house?
That's her house.
I feel like we gotta figure out where that leads.
Right now?
Let's do it. Okay. I cast it.
Yeah, like why not?
If you
That's
cast
amazing.
that spell right now,
No.
we will need to end the session and I will need to re-prep.
Dude, wild.
However, I will give you roulette if you want what would that be?
We like take a peek.
I think it's just going to be another Arcana check to decipher the location bound within the infernal text of this spell.
Ooh, like which level of hell it is.
Yeah, you can tell it goes to the hells, but you are not sure what level.
I don't know the address.
Yeah.
You got the state, not
Country
the
code.
Yeah, I got the country code. Is all I
What
got.
is going around Lexington to the hells?
I would love to grab those magic.
I think that's it. I think that's all the stuff you get.
I'd love to claim the magic circle and planar binding scrolls.
So this is an example where I don't have like a dedicated scroll made in D&D Beyond for each of these. So just add spell scrolls to your list and just notate which ones they are. But yeah, you guys are welcome to divide those up as you want. Intellect Fortress, Magic Circle, Elemental Bane, Planar Binding, Summon Fiend, Devil, Flesh to Stone, and Plane Shift. Perfect. Looks like you got it typed out there for us.
I think we should give most of those to Toby. I feel like you're the only one we can.
I'll take the ones I can cast, but the only extra one I can cast is Plane Shift.
Certainly not Rome. Rome is gonna just cast it whenever she feels.
I might ask Minerva if she wants to buy these components and magical things just for her own use, but
And then
I'll hang
I'd
on to
love,
the Amorphous Blob because I also
Yep.
know alchemical, so I can try to sell it off when we have the right moment.
and then I'd love to grab 3 of those diamonds.
Honestly, just take all this jewels and gems for spells because that way you want to buy in the future.
Sure.
Unless we want to sell one of them if anyone's tight on money, but we could just know that Toby has a bunch of jewels and gems. Because what are we going to do with the Black Pearl? Is that
Can
devil?
I try and estimate the value of the diamonds? I've got a 100, a 150, and a 300 gold diamond on me. How do those compare with these?
Can you say those amounts again that you have?
Yeah, 100, 150, 300.
Okay. Go ahead and make a history check. I'll say with disadvantage since you aren't proficient with jewel makers tools for a formal appraisal. Okay, so 2's pretty low, so you definitely don't know the value of the Black Pearl and Alexandrite, and you can't get an exact value on the diamonds, but you can tell they're somewhat smaller than your 300 diamond.
I'll get them.
But they seem more valuable just at a glance than your 100 diamonds.
Yeah, that Black Pearl maybe is required for that Circle of Death spell.
Oh.
I'm just looking up like materials that are needed for certain spells, and I think that's we shouldn't just sell this Black Pearl to anyone.
AKA Rome is thinking very hard about all the magic she knows.
Right, yeah, I know. Back pocket knowledge.
Scroll. There's I'm grabbing a 7th, a 5th, and a 3rd.
All right. Well, the Moira loot's divvied up. Back to roulette.
Yeah, absolutely. So roulette, based on your current day, you're able to get some infernal translations done. However, in the next 2 weeks or so of downtime, what sort of priorities are you looking into?
My glaive is the very first thing. I have completed all 10 days of it. So I mostly am just at the final point of using the Sink Stone to wrap up whatever final loose end I need to create the pair of gauntlets for this.
Perfect. Out of curiosity, because I just don't remember, and I did not note take this very well, what degree of cost did we decide on these, and had you already paid that ahead of time? And then
I did, yeah. So I paid because I think it was like 1,500 or something total, and I took out a loan, and that's the 60
platinum. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
60 platinum that I just tossed back to him. So I had purchased all of the necessary goods before leaving wherever we were the first.
I think Forest Hollow before you started marching westward into
Yes. Yeah. I forget if it was 1,500 or 2,000 or somewhere in between there.
But yeah, I do remember that you took out the loan, bought the components you need. So okay, so cost has been determined and already paid for. So now it is just really the final check. As a slight aside, Telperion Magebane poison does exist in D&D Beyond, so feel free to type in Magebane. Okay, perfect. Then roulette. As you have completed this pair of items, and you set both of the Sink Stones in as the final component to trigger sort of the circuit board of these things triggering, and you complete the final incantation, please go ahead and make, I think this is specifically, it's not the same as enchanting, so it is going to be a tinkering check rather than an arcana check. So I think you're proficient with Tinker's tools. I think you get expertise with those, and it is intelligence based.
And if you're not going to do it, well.
Check my math there. I think because it
Flash, Smith, advantage from enhanced, which you've been doing often. Perfect.
The
Flash of genius. Yeah.
The expertise.
Go ahead and roll.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Advantage +7.
I want that kind of math when I do my psionic things, when I just
I know.
think really hard.
So I'm just rolling a d20 and then I'm adding.
You're rolling 2 d20s.
I'm rolling 2 d20s and then I'm
Yes.
adding 17.
What? Holy Christ.
34.
I will not use my bardic inspiration on the 34.
How overkill could you get? It's like, well, the skill check's 50.
Although I did have an additional modification possible for a nat 20, you did hit the highest possible threshold of buffs to get here, which is 30 plus.
Wait, do I have? No, I don't have an inspiration. I'm not using it.
Okay, so with a 30 plus, the item is created as intended. With
Yay.
the additional change that it facilitated, you found a way in the final hours of this. If you shave down this piece, it won't hurt the conductivity, but it'll avail you of 2 additional slots. So now it can store 8 slots chambers instead of 6.
Beautiful.
And so I'm gonna make that adjustment right here.
I'm gonna be out of money so fast.
Jeez.
That boom, boom, boom.
The richest I've ever been in D&D.
What is your gold total net worth right now, Telperion?
4,200.
4,200?
I mean, I'm about to spend 500 probably, but I'm feeling fucking flush.
And I just
Okay.
What was the
roulette? Now that I don't know how fast it'll trigger if it's fully live. Sometimes D&D Beyond's weird about it. There's delays on save changes sometimes, but you can add the Electroglaive Gauntlet to your inventory, and you have created 2 of these, which also means that the Sync Stones have given you a second gauntlet, which will require decision on your point to send it to the Oricaba or keep for your own uses and possibly risk future action by the Oricaba.
I will say I would have been smart enough that I made a left and a right, by the way.
Okay, gotcha. Fair enough.
Perfect. Thank you.
Fair enough.
Otherwise, I believe the stat block for this item should align with both of our previous discussions.
Perfect.
Does Roulette come read it to us?
No, she's in a workshop right now.
Telperion gets a lightning bolt. I think Roulette just did something cool.
I will say also, Roulette, this is kind of maybe a lot of pressure to throw at you, but this is, you finished this thing that was weeks and weeks in the making within like the first 24 hours of having timed yourself here in Athenium. So you do functionally have almost like a full 2 weeks available left. You specifically might be able to knock out a couple extra items of like common or uncommon tier if you want.
So I do have an idea, and I think because I have your grid pulled up.
You're so cute.
Because common items are for me.
Yeah, Roulette, at your level of Artificer, you can rapid fire some common and uncommon items.
I will specifically spend the first day or 2 practicing with these. I will I hate this. I will deduct 32 gold from practicing.
Okay, awesome. Love it.
But the rest of the time, what I want to do, and I don't need to RP this too much. Essentially, and I Critter, have you read Way of Kings? Are you partially through it?
No, I'm a third through it.
Have you heard of the word kata? Kata, the forms?
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
So, when I'm done practicing with the gloves, I am going to be mostly just trying to practice fighting with Daisy, specifically just practicing forms of like swinging. And what I want to do, what I picture progressing is I have a ton of like really thin steel wires. I am going to purchase from the forge if they could give me the most minute, tiny little springs or metal of mithril that I want to make into tiny springs. And I essentially want to build timers. My whole goal for this is I want to be able to, when I'm practicing with Daisy, who's on like a clock, I want her to be able to swing at a specific moment, and I want to see if I can time myself to swing at that same moment. Basically, just like on repeated succession. The spoiler is I want to make as many clockwork amulets as I can as possible. So I am trying to just time this, and basically through the building of like a stopwatch or something, or some sort of timing device, master a perfect like swing with my flail.
Okay. You're welcome to pursue this with the Moonsmiths. Go ahead and give me a charisma check. I'll say with you guys' position in the army, with advantage, to compel them into providing more mithril than
That was
they
gonna be my
have.
question. Yeah.
Oh,
I'll make that a 15.
With the 15, they are open to the idea of procuring additional mithril for your use in the near future. But for now, all mithril has gone toward the war effort and or your use so far. However, they can still avail you of springs and metalwork for that purpose. It just may be a different degree of effectiveness if it's not mithril. So there could be a future version of this, but you could still try and achieve what you're looking for out of mundane metals.
Okay.
Mithril in the future might just facilitate an enhanced version somehow.
Okay. So it's like 2 days per. So I mean, if I'm min-maxing this, I could try and
Sure.
make 4, but I'm gonna just shoot for 3, knowing that I don't have mithril for it.
Okay.
Hold on, I have to deduct the first 32. So stupid.
Whoa.
I'm gonna do Zumos real quick.
Okay, perfect.
Organoliths. No, I'm only gonna make 3.
Toby, can you use the scroll of Intellect Fortress?
Say that again.
Can you use it? Is that a spell that you can even cast?
I do not believe so.
If you can't,
Intellect.
can I take it then?
Oh yeah, I was only going to take those 3. So if you take that, then there's still Summon Fiend and Flesh to Stone and Elemental Bane. Which actually, let me look up who can cast those.
Anybody else want Intellect Fortress?
It's on my spell list, so I don't need the scroll.
That seems like a good spell for Jury, so I'll take it.
Yeah, I've cast it on you twice, I believe.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Roulette. With the adequate time available and your level of Artificer, I'm not going to require checks for the creations of these common items. You are absolutely, and I'll say even 4 is fully within reasonability. You can make 4 of these clockwork amulets if you wish, as long as you're willing to put in the price. So it looks like it is still 25 gold per, so that's 100 gold.
100 even?
total. Yeah.
I would love to do that.
Perfect. All right, 100 gold for 4 clockwork amulets.
And then Telperion as a level 1 wizard can attempt to use a level 6 wizard spell scroll, right?
Correct.
So
And I have to roll a 16.
Yeah, so Jiri and Telperion, you guys can pick who wants Summon Fiend.
Oh, I mean, I don't want to summon a fiend.
I also think Roulette probably can do that too, because she gets
oh,
access to wizard.
Give that one to
Artificer's
Roulette.
wizard.
Should we sell that one?
And then
No.
Elemental Bane and Flesh to Stone is very druid and warlock.
I think we should keep it until we need money.
Which one are we talking about?
Summon Fiend. What if we need to summon a Fiend later? And beat it up.
And I can always bind
no.
it to us with that scroll of planar binding. So
Exactly. It could be
Oh.
Moira. We could summon her and beat her up.
Oh my god. What if it was like the Duke that Count. No, the Duke.
Yeah.
Also, the Mage Bane poison is very good if we can trick someone into ingesting it. It's in my alchemy poison pouch whenever it comes up. But as a tool at our disposal, if we trick someone into consuming it who is a spellcaster, the spells are worse and they get hurt. Specifically, they can't cast their high level magic. So honestly, it'd be really good on Moira. But how are we going to trick someone into eating it? Anyway, it doesn't matter. For later.
Yeah, I think that item's a fun one because it is very powerful, but it kind of comes with its own quest or side quest or challenge of
just did
how do you
this
make
of
it
poisoning
happen.
food and at a dinner.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's kind of its own. It's a challenge to make use of it, but it's potent. Okay, that will handle roulette pretty well. Cool. And you have your fully translated PDFs whenever you want to give those a glance if you haven't already. And then, who wants to go next?
There is. Go ahead, Mike.
I have like 2 small things I want to do and then like a bigger thing later. Could I just do one of the small ones now just to like, instead of downtime being like all one person, like I feel like if we pepper small ones, it could be kind of fun.
Absolutely.
For my first, if Tim, is that okay?
I have something to do with roulette real quick. But
oh, then do that first. Yeah, that's better.
Why don't you do your quick things and I'll do my quick thing with the roulette.
Okay. I want to just like take a stroll down to see Emmerich or whoever. I want to walk up to, hey buddy, how you been?
What's his
Make
voice?
him gay.
Emmerich Casimir Diarmid the Fourth. Telperion, wonderful to see you. How's it been?
It's been wild, honestly. I mean, you don't get caught in enemy territory without it being a little frightening. So, very nervous out in the fray.
Oh, so you're the one spreading those rumors. They've taken quite. The populace has been aroused with those rumors that you've been spreading. Good job. It is important for morale to spread tall tales of the exploits of the ones in charge or on the upper tier. So well done.
I don't have like one of my friends here with me because I foolishly didn't take one of you guys. I just like look at Loaf and be like, what the fuck's he talking about? But I'm not going to correct him. So do you remember that odd package I sent you?
Oh, do you mean the gemstone that you are generously providing me at a discount?
I sent you some magical feathers. I didn't know if you were going to be enchanting.
Oh, that's right. I did also receive those. Haven't been able to put them to much use yet, but I do have them in my inventory.
That's good to know. I just wanted to know if you had anything of interest that you've developed since I saw you last.
Well, you can peruse my wares, certainly. And he will show you a wide variety of, like, I envision this guy as, like, an upper crust version of the Hercules guy who's like, hey, you want one of these things? Like,
I love this dude.
So he's got, like, a legitimate stash of stuff, but it's all jewelry. None of it's magical or enchanted, but he does have high-quality jewelry available.
All right, well, if you ever put that enchantment stuff to work again and you do something cool with those feathers, just let me know.
I will do that.
For the adventuring, for the rumors, I need to be seen buying things of magical caliber, you understand?
Of course, and it benefits me greatly to be doing business with the pleasurable royal family, so of course.
The beard walks away, you, as usual, feeling like this guy's always getting the better of me, so I don't know how I'm helping him right now. That's all I wanted.
Perfect. All right, Jiri and Roulette, what you got?
Oh, I just needed Roulette to build something quick for me. It should be pretty easy. My little jar of Orin Air now has a little tiny bonsai plant growing out of it as from Rome and her little seeds. And so I need to strengthen it. So I'm going to bring it to Roulette to see if she can actually forge, like, I'm going to give her 9 copper, 9 silver, 9 gold, and 9 platinum. See if she can make, like, I'm imagining, like, thin lines of these metals, like, spiring around the outside of it just to strengthen the glass. And then I'm going to ask Rome if she can give me some cork. I'm assuming she's got, like, cork on her body that I can, like, extract from her in some way, or she can hand over to, like, make a new little top. And I'm going to ask if Roulette can do the same mechanism she had for my my decanter, if she can make that as well to make the top pop off nice and smoothly.
Rome reaches
Okay.
into the body and takes out a piece of her rib, which is made of cork.
Perfect. Thank you.
Just
I'm fascinated now. I don't know anything about cork. Is cork a naturally occurring material? What is cork?
Cork is like it's the bark when you peel back like a tree. Like there's trees that have cork that like is there.
Whoa, I never knew
Yeah.
that in all my years. I've never heard that. That's wild. That's super
In all
Yeah.
my years.
There-
All my
that's-
Um,
years.
I learned that
and then-
from Fallout Boy. Oh my
Holy shit.
And then Roulette, I will pay you 100 gold to create this. To repair this or strengthen my glass. So I'll give you 18 of each. 9 for the forging of this item, and then 9 for you to keep. Of all the metals.
Oh. no,
Oh,
I-
gotcha. Okay, so yeah. Yeah.
That should be like 99,
it's
but
99.9999.
Yeah. That's super
And the
awesome,
cork.
by the way.
So
Incredible.
it's I just need 100 gold worth of material in this
Understood.
my bottle of Orin Air for future spells to be cast.
I
on
would
it.
say with Roulette's wide ability to craft and extrude metals, yeah, this won't take days of time. So Roulette, if you're willing and able, you are more than welcome to do this for Jiri. And Jiri, your bottle of Orin Air is now functionally the cost level you need it to be, and its quick release should function appropriately for what you have in mind.
I will politely take just the 9 gold pieces, and I'll treat Jiri to a preview of my of the new weapon. Of the
Yeah, I
glove.
was assuming I showed up perfect timing, like you're just done with them, and I'm like
Yeah.
Jiri burst in.
Yeah.
Roulette, I need you. What do you got there? What'd you make?
Oh, a bit of a new toy, and I just like it's they're almost like they're so Jiri sees this, no one else sees this. Close your ears. No, you don't have to.
I'm just typing the name of the thing in chat just because I feel like it just is fun to know. But
The
no
full
one look
name.
it up. No one look it up until Roulette showcases.
Oh,
it.
you don't have to cover your ears. I'm very much kidding. You see you see around the workshop room that there are like charred bits of metal just stuck to different random points in the wall. And like it's like singed and like there's some smoke coming off of some recent ones. I'll put 1 gold in my pocket. I will take 8 gold, and what you see on my gauntlet, it probably comes down to like mid forearm.
What
it
does the
almost
gauntlet
looks-
look like? Also?
So it's a it is a fingerless leather glove at the base. There is a sheen to it, which, if you inspect closely, is actually a like naturally occurring resin that Rome helped me identify way back when. That in this world does not conduct electricity.
I recall this.
So protects the hand. But then what you also see at like closer to the elbow, you see these like it's a 2x4 grid of these 8 like slots, and it's mini cornucopia tubes that wind around once around the wrist, and then there's like above the knuckles are 8 corresponding basically cannons, for lack of a better word. And what happens is I put the gold in the things and they get sucked in, and you hear almost like a gun loading noise of just like they're stuck towards the front. And as she's testing it out, what you see is she basically points to a spot. She shoots a piece of gold, shoots a piece of gold, shoots a piece of gold, and it's like she picks random spots. And the second they land, a bunch of electricity starts jumping from each one of them, creating just like a not force field, but like an electrified field.
Yeah, little tethers between them.
Yeah, lightning tethers. Now, Jiri, don't get too close to it, but this kind of thing will give you a bit of a shock if you get too close to it, and I'll shoot the last one on you, but you're too far away from everything, so it just like sparks a little bit. Now,
but it adheres to you. The second roulette shoots you, it has this adherence gel, almost like napalm, on it that it sort of just embeds itself on you.
For that, I used to be immune to lightning. Now I don't know. So I think for science, I need to find out. And
for
Joey will
science,
run- he will run
okay,
forward into the static field to see what happens.
go take a few steps, and then you would make a dexterity saving throw, I think.
Yes, definitely dexterity saving throw, Jiri.
Yeah.
Let me see what I'm resistant to first today because of my crown. Ooh, I think that's
What is it? Lightning,
bludgeoning. Darn.
bludgeoning.
Yeah, that's bludgeoning, thunder, lightning.
Oh, and thunder.
Oh, I am not resistant to whatever. I'm assuming it's going to be lightning damage.
Yes, it is.
It is
I
going
need
to
to
be
make,
lightning damage.
what
Dexterity
throw?
saving throw,
Dex
Jiri.
save.
And then roulette, get your 3d8 ready. That is a success. So as soon as it arcs toward you, you're able to avoid some of the damage, but that'll still be a half of roulette's damage here. 11 damage reduced to half, so 5 damage. But as soon as you move forward and you become within 20 feet of another electrified coin, it immediately arcs to you and creates another tether between that static coin and you. And as you move around, this tether stays with you as long as you're within 20 feet.
That's so cool.
Is it slowing me down at all?
No, and I also think I should have had you make.
I was
that
about to text you, Critter, for
check with disadvantage.
No, I don't know if that's a thing. The reaction is the thing that is not in there. If he fails, you lose your reaction.
Oh, I didn't. Yes, that's true. I guess I didn't add that in language, so I'll tweak that after session. But yes, you do as you take. Well, he also didn't fail.
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I will tweak
That-
the language of that.
Can you like cause more damage to me now that it's tethered?
Well, 6 seconds go by, and if the tether's still there, you do get zapped again.
Yeah.
And 6 seconds go by, and you do get zapped again. And so,
Do I
functionally-
make a save for the second?
Zapping.
Zapping.
Creatures. I forgot about this tweak we made. Creatures that have been stuck with a charged coin automatically fail the saving throw.
Ooh.
So he gets a chance to save against being hit with it, but once he's stuck to it and a tether is created, he automatically fails a save. So you take some additional damage, and the coin sticks to you, and it triggers every turn as long as you're close enough to another coin. But as soon as you step 25 feet away from a nearest coin, the tether breaks, and you still have an electrified coin on you, but it's not creating a tether right now. However, when you're getting zapped, the electricity coursing through you for a moment is making you not be able to use your reaction. Similar to the functionality of Shocking Grasp, but now there's this like sort of line effect that's like these live coins creating tethers that Roulette has facilitated within this glove launcher.
If another creature crosses, I'm gonna get who's it? Shaggy, let's test this out more. Run into the line there, and then Shaggy like salutes and he like zooms into it to see if it'll affect if we pass the electrical.
Yeah, so what does it look like, Roulette, when the tethers are created and sending electricity back and forth?
Oh, I forgot about. Yeah. I forgot about this. So it's the technical term for the whole thing is the electrogaussian launcher by arc inductive voltaic energy. But it's the electroglaive for short. So when the coins appear, you actually it does look just like an arc of lightning between, but within the lightning, and I feel like Jiri, you'll appreciate this. You see these miniature like sword shaped or glaive shaped spectral flashes of like lightning throughout the arcing of the lightning as they kind of slash through the air.
That's cool.
But 100% as Shaggy steps between two nodes, he does have to like make a save to then not be shocked.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So it's kind of lightning wall of fire mixed with it can connect to people and move around as a tether and shocking grasp.
Yeah, like
all in
Shocking
one.
Grasp,
That's
Witchbolt,
wild.
Yeah, and it is a rare item that Roulette had to put in quite a few weeks of effort into.
Is that attuned?
It does not require attunement.
There's no attunement.
Amazing.
It's a functional. It's a mechanic device. It's not like a
Um,
magical.
It does not require attunement, but you do see at the end of a minute 8 pieces of gold where I shot them
Oh.
now like
Oxidize, rust, and
Oxidize,
become
yeah.
destroyed. So Roulette does have to spend gold to load the canisters.
Wait, Jerry wants to start one more thing. It's like sitting on his chest, zapping him while Roulette's like explaining it to him. So he's gonna like rip it off to see if he can remove the node from his body.
Yeah, I know you can. I think it's just object interaction is probably just all it takes to
Yeah,
get it
that's
off.
probably true.
Just sticking it to you makes you fail the first time immediately,
Yes.
but you can
Sure.
immediately drop it if you want. Yeah.
All right, so he takes it off, and then him and Shaggy get very far away from the electricity. That's cool, Roulette. Now I need you to do something else for me. Can you make this bottle unbreakable?
Sure. And I'll head right to the smithy to borrow their forge to smelt the coins into a intricate wire cage to reinforce the strength of the glass bottle.
You
Thank
are
you for
able to
that.
do so, and Jiri, that should satisfy the requirements of what you're looking for.
Cool. I gotta go, Roulette. There's other things I gotta do with this glass bottle. I gotta go learn how to take care of these plants.
Thanks, Jerry. Also, I only took the gold from you, so the 9 platinum, silver, copper. That's you keep that.
Are you sure you don't want it?
Yeah, no, the gold is the only thing I'm looking for right now to reload this bad boy.
Well, can I pay you a little extra gold then?
Sure. I'll take another 8.
Okay, here you go. I will give you 8 more.
Perfect. Alrighty, who's got something else? Jiri, anything else on your mind?
We'll tackle that. We'll give somebody else a chance. Jared runs off.
Cool.
I actually just gave myself a natural bio break, but it has been 2 hours. Not sure if people want to keep going
yeah.
or take a break or what.
Yeah, good point. Do I want to take a quick break?
Bio break.
Come back and tackle some other downtime interests? Perfect.
Great. Can I talk to you for a sec before when they leave? Because I have an idea that I just came up with that I want to hash out with you. For my downtime, I was thinking about it, and the big thing I'm thinking is like I don't necessarily want to like try that. And point being, we had been talking about him working on telekinetic psionic advancement, and one thing we had talked about, I remember last time we had a conversation that like I was going to put in time, and I did like 2 weeks of time, and I didn't earn anything officially. I think we talked about like the push thing was going to come. I don't want to make that solid in this downtime because I don't want to demonstrate that ability until the moment I use it for the first time. So that's why I haven't been pushing that. But if that's
so just as a reminder, based on my memory of it, in Force Hollow, you did, and I don't know that we added anything in your stat block or anything, but I do think you functionally achieved that thing.
Yeah,
and
but I didn't.
I know there were also other minor things.
So I was thinking I could work on a minor one, and one thing we talked about is me, since I know Longstrider, me having the whole thing was like through Longstrider he realized. So and we had the other one that was half baked from Forever Go of +5 movement speed with a side eye. I was hoping to capitalize on that. Use a side eye to use cast Longstrider. Yeah.
I think that's fair game. Trying to think of what other thing I had in mind for that. Because I don't think let me take a look at something real quick. No,
also, if you don't have the as written thing done now, that's fine. But that's what I think I want to put my time to. And so if I earn something and you say after the session I'll send you, like that's cool with me.
I can definitely do that. And you're talking about the cone thing for that, or
well, the cone thing's the big one that I haven't used yet. So you can send me that whenever you want.
I just feel like we should put that into your stat sheet.
Yeah, okay.
Character sheet so you have it. But you're interested in putting your time toward that other minor.
The speed one, yeah.
Okay.
I think that seems like a good use of 2 weeks, and like
I agree. I think
yeah,
that's perfect.
Sweet, awesome,
cool.
Nibbles.
Nipples.
Interesting. Interesting.
Interesting.
No, just sit there. Just sit on the blanket, you little fucker.
You little fucker.
Archie.
Chris, I just sent you a text. I forgot to send you
Oh, cool.
Don't
over
you love it?
our downtime.
Who's eating what?
Oh, very cool. Very cool. Love it.
Cool.
What's
I gotta
everyone
refresh-
snacking on?
I gotta refresh my mind on what
I got
that
a
is.
big ass piece of sourdough.
What? You're just chonking on bread?
Why not?
Colin's girlfriend
Straight
Jill
bread.
has been making sourdough.
But did you even toast it?
Did I toast it? No.
Put some butter on it? A little salt? Olive oil? What?
Dope by itself.
You can
Bread is
live your
dope by
life,
itself.
okay?
Huh?
I was just gonna say bread is dope by itself, but the only reason I would do that nowadays is a nice juicy croissant. I could eat croissants by the dozen.
There's never a time where I could eat a croissant that there's not something better also in the room.
Perhaps.
Do you not like croissants?
I just think they're so average. Like, if I'm gonna eat something for sweetness, I'll have a donut. Like, there's nothing else I want in this world more than a donut most of the time.
If I'm gonna eat a croissant, it better be good because there's a lot of butter in that. I like an almond croissant. Those are the ones that I like. But
What are you guys eating now? I see some steaming.
I'm having some soup.
I put some rotisserie chicken in a salad kit, and it's really sad.
Oh no. So most salad kits are real hit or miss. You know?
I'm cutting right now, so they're like one of my safest options.
Mm.
When I'm in a hurry and not meal prepping just all the time.
What are you playing, Steve?
Celeste.
Ooh, what is that?
It's like a platformer. It's very Ori and the Will of the Wisps, or like any of the Ori games.
Yeah, he just beat Spelunky, so we had to move on to something new.
I did.
And Hercules is playing Spelunky.
It's like a side scroller jump around,
With a gorgeous soundtrack.
gorgeous soundtrack, beautiful game.
Cool.
Been playing a little bit of Elden Ring again since the DLC.
Dude, what? Me and Steve played that today. Like, I'm
'Cause
actually
they just announced DLC.
Uh-huh. So now I gotta actually beat it. I still haven't done that yet.
Wait, is the DLC a part after you beat the game?
I
don't know where it's gonna be.
3/4 of the way through the game.
But it motivated me to actually go back and beat it. So.
How far are you into the game?
Not very far. I met the boss for Volcano Manor.
Rykard.
Yeah, that guy. I gotta beat that stump snake.
Don't snake.
Not far.
I
That's
beat
pretty
that when I was streaming it on Discord to you guys. It was that snake with the face on it. Like,
Is
it
he
was
one of the
real
hardest
gross.
bosses?
No, because he's got like a gimmick weapon that like you walk into his boss arena and there's a weapon there,
Yeah.
and it like
Yeah.
it fucks him up really easily.
Oh, I forgot. Yeah.
They did that in Dark Souls 3 for the
Yeah.
big giant guy too.
I used to beat a giant, nasty troll in a cave, and he only killed me one time, and then I got him on my second try.
Pumpkinhead.
No.
No,
It
it
was
was
like a
the
brown-
cave
Oh.
digger troll that gives you the blue ballerina charm or something.
No, this is the very, very, very first one. He gives you the roar charm.
Roar charm.
But, I just want an HP charm, though, so I'm
Yeah.
not trying to get rid of that yet. I need health. I'm baby. I walk around Elden Ring, and my character is constantly like, I'm baby. And then he tries to hit with a sword. Some people play Elden Ring that look like gods, and I'm just like crouching.
Yeah, I just can't. That game's its skill floor is too high for me to want to invest my time in it.
Oh, I love the Dark Soul games.
Are they like the hardest games out there or something? Is that what they're like known for or something? Or what?
I think the hardest
not
game
anymore. When like Dark Souls 1 came out, it was up there in terms of difficulty, and so people like coined this phrase like, "Oh, it's the Dark Souls of this type of game." But Elden Ring, I don't think is nearly as hard as some of those earlier games. There's
also, like,
difficulty there if you seek it out, but
That's what when Crit says the skill floor or ceiling, like how good you are can range so high that you can seek really strong challenges for yourself, or you cannot, like if you're a little more casual, by playing certain ways or avoiding certain things.
Okay, then
But it is known to be hard in a way.
what is the hardest game you've ever played?
You guys ever play Ghosts and Goblins?
no.
For that stupid NES game where if you get like better armor as you go, but if you get hit once, it doesn't matter. You have 2 lives. That's it. It's so hard. The game's impossible.
I don't.
There's a
Like
game
hard
online
games.
called World's Hardest Game. That's a pretty hard game, and it's very fun.
Oh my god, I know what you're talking.
Yeah, the
So you
square
move the little
moving around.
square through a bunch of like like challenges and obstacles, and it's so fun, but it's so hard.
I honestly think Elden Ring is the hardest that I've played because games like Legend of Zelda and there's like lots of games that like you can slow the action down or like
Yeah, and
I
they're very
never die
forgiving
in Zelda.
combat. Like Elden Ring, I think, and I chose a particularly dangerous playstyle. I think that just was vulnerable and fragile. But like Elden Ring was just so unforgiving that it wasn't like a Zelda where if I'm doing bad for 30 seconds straight, I still probably didn't die. No, if I do bad for 2 seconds in a row, I die. So it's just like that. It just felt unforgiving that way. So I think I might agree that that's one of the
Get fucked. Get absolutely obliterated.
session over. Party white. You all die. Rocks fall. Everyone dies.
Yeah.
Wait for you to go for a breath and you were, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna let it automatically do it. I have to do it.
I respect it, but I hate it. Oh, that's really funny.
I will
But,
say the hardest thing in gaming I've ever done was in Elden Ring, but I don't know I would call it the hardest game I've ever played.
I think it's just the game I've had the hardest
Yeah.
time with. I'm trying to think of other crazy hard stuff I've done. ESO, the online Elder Scrolls game, itself isn't the hardest game, but there's this thing you can do called the Maelstrom Arena, and the elite veteran mode you can do on that arena is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in gaming.
Is that something you solo, or is that like you have
that one is a solo challenge, and you have to get through all 9 levels of it without dying.
Oh, yeah.
And you probably, if Mike did it tomorrow, you maybe remember, I remember you doing this. But
Yeah.
like the novice level one was still hard, and then if you try and do the veteran one for better gear, that is like some of the angriest I've ever been at games. It's just like that's probably the MJ. I was saying veterans Maelstrom Arena.
Oh
is
my
probably-
god.
is
Yeah.
probably the hardest thing.
I
I've
never
ever
beat it.
done.
I got
I
so
did-
close.
I
got
did
to
beat
the
it
end.
once, and I just got bullshit gear. I'm like, I'm not doing this 80 dozen times to try and get the Burning Spellweave staff or whatever the fuck. Like
It's
just-
true. It's horrible. Everyone online's like, to play well, you need this staff. To get the staff, you have to beat the hardest thing in the game, and it's just like, does your build allow you to
100
do
times.
it? Yeah, and it's so hard.
So-
And I got so good, and it was still impossible.
yeah,
Anyway,
that was really,
guys
really
see-
difficult.
I'm editing Jiri's sword to have the.
dude.
Yes.
That's
Hell
sick.
yeah, that is sick. Love it.
I think I'm going with this.
Toby, you haven't done much downtime stuff. You want to start us off?
Sure. Let me finish.
Let's
this fight.
go. No, right now.
Okay, so
Downtime's over for Toby, actually.
Sorry, if you're eating, you get passed. I don't make the rules.
Oh, so you like you can lay on the couch and be convenient for an hour.
Yeah, Toby Rama, what do you have on your mind in downtime?
Yeah, so I've got one thing that's going to be like the whole duration of downtime. That's kind of like a two-pronged thing. And then I've got another thing that's just will take a minute each day. Well, not quite a minute, a couple hours, but just traveling. So after we wake up on the first day, after discussing battle plans, Toby is going to make a trek out to the ruins to the west of Bithynian and go back to his little Kelemvor shrine that he had started and cast Word of Recall there to designate that as the target of that spell.
Pulling it up for my own refresher. Verbal somatic material. Unified. Instantly, you have to previously designate this with that spell. Strongly linked to your deity, and you have already embossed into the stonework there a relief of iconography of Kelemvor's symbol. Okay. You have already dedicated that area. You have now designated this location as your Faeror's Wind Word of Recall.
Yeah.
And spot.
And then probably the next 4 days, I will make the same trek out in the morning physically and I'll go acquire this from probably Emmerich. 200-ish gold worth of ruby dust.
He can definitely facilitate that, so go ahead and remove 200 gold, and that's absolutely doable.
To 4 separate times cast a 6th level continual flame in that space. And let's see if it's already at the start of the chat, but let's see if I did it right this time.
Yeah, I remember they did come. What's weird is you sent them once and they didn't come through, and then you sent them and then I logged in again and they did. That's very cool. So is it silver flame?
It's like a absence of light / silver flame. Literally like a ghost flame is what the description is, and I like that a lot.
Very cool.
To have, and I had done this like twice with lower levels, but now there's even more of those flames in the
50
space.
gold each, using a 6th level spell each time
on 4 separate days, because I only have the one.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So that's
that's very cool, because just as a note, Continual Flame doesn't have language for upcasting it. However, you using a 6th level spell makes it harder for darkness to dispel, for example, since it's a higher tier magic that you used for its creation. So that's really cool. Okay, so you have 4 6th level Continual Flame
and I
torches.
think like 2 or 3 4th levels in there or something, but and so the first few days I'll actually, probably most of the days of the downtime, I'll make my way out that way and setting that stuff up. And then my kind of prolonged activity is looking into this tomb and the draconic stuff and the golden moon iconography. And so it's kind of like a 2-pronged way of dealing with it. When I'm in the shrine, I'll be casting Commune once a day and asking Kelemvor about the people who have died there and how they died, and trying to gain information that way. And then I'll be spending borrowed knowledge and enhanceability at the library back in Athenian to try and research about the Golden Moon iconography, the Sand Spirits, and just anything I can find about that tomb.
Very cool.
I feel like while watching you study, Telperion always takes so much pride, and I need to figure out like a better in-game toy for a Magic 8-Ball, because like he just always like gets so pumped when you just go into like scholar Magic Boy mode. So he's just like dropping in and like leaving you snacks and definitely like tossing your hair as you do your research. Good studying, Ned.
That's very cool. So obviously, day by day, we could go through a bunch of communes, but in general, how might you be interested in simplifying this? Because communes may give you more immediate information that you might be specifically looking for and get immediate responses, whereas the Preservus Athenium research you're doing may give you information that is adjacent to, or you're just going to get the knowledge that place has rather than maybe direct answers to your questions.
Yeah, so I guess if I could learn about the nature of the deaths that were caused there, like, oh, people died by pitfall traps or monsters down there, that from the commune I'd like to try and glean, and then learning anything about anything that seems adjacent to Almeida and Draconic stuff through study.
Very cool. Borrowed knowledge and something else.
Enhanceability to get advantage on those library checks.
Yeah, so it will be history, but you will now be proficient with them and get advantage on them. So go ahead and roll history checks plus modifier with advantage.
Yeah, so add 4 to the result of this roll. So 10.
Okay. 10. I'll have you do 2 checks. One for the first week, one for the second week. That'll be representative of those weeks. Go ahead and roll a second check here for just what may happen in the second week of study.
This plus 4, so 19.
19, much better. The first week, and again, we'll handle these in 2 prongs. Research-wise, in the first week, not much comes up, and you do learn, even with a low check, you learn that Almeida, and I'll spell that, Almeida, which is the common name for the golden moon, you learn that it is loosely, some Ithilwinge say that it's under the embrace of the domain of the Moonweaver Sehanine. However, many feel that it is something outside her domain, since apparently it has not existed there forever. It popped up in a previous era, and there's been some people devoted to its search. And so there are tomes dedicated to information on the golden moon, but it's a very fickle moon. Sometimes it'll show up in the sky, sometimes it won't, sometimes it'll take different trajectories. It's difficult to track, opposed to Selenix, the primary extremely large white moon, or the blue and red moons. So it's the strangest moon and seems to have not always been there. So it's hard to get information on it until you stumble across, in the second week, a librarian that takes an interest in you spending so much time there, puts you in contact or facilitates a meeting with someone of the Eclipse, someone you hadn't heard before, one of their scribes that has held some interest in the golden moon before and put in some research, and they guide you to a section of the library that reveals that there was, in the time after the Sundering, so within the last 2,000 years sometimes, there was word of a cult of people, dragonborn or humanoids that revered draconic lineage, or maybe even elves and dwarven kinds that revered draconic ancestry. There was a cult that called the moon not Almeida, but a draconic word. Degensea, which translates into common House of the Golden Flame. With this information, you put together that perhaps some remnant of Degensian cult following may have put together or pursued this location. Maybe they established it as a temple. Maybe they were hiding from something. You're not sure the purpose of this location, but you start to attribute it toward, okay, Degensea is this draconic word that means House of the Golden Flame. This Degensian cult seems to have maintained a presence there for some reason. Now, on your commune level of information, what sort of questions might you be asking? And I'll start sort of divulging some information. We don't have to go question by question. You can give broad strokes, but
The main one is if so commonly people went in there and didn't come out and died down in there. If that was sort of an epicenter of people passing on, can the Deva or Kelmvor speak to what was causing those, and if they were paying attention to the frequency of deaths in that area?
Giving only generally yes or no answers, it takes you a couple questions, leading questions, to stumble your way into useful knowledge. But over the course of the 2 weeks, you get the sense of powerful protections in place at that location. Some due to natural phenomenon, some due to mysterious creatures, or just subterranean threats. Scouts and maybe even bandits and marauders have died there over centuries of occasionally finding this place exists and finding their way down there, but not often. It's not like a prized location everyone's trying to get to. Very few probably know about it. And then you probably get some loose information on types of death. Some have withered rapidly due to rapid old age. Some have been just sort of more physically maimed and injured due to as much as slash marks or weapon damage or falling rocks, and sort of whether more mundane or at least maybe creature-based damage. And one final bit of information you get probably has to do with the idea that the location is not specifically a temple, but rather protects something. So again, maybe tens of questions might be asked in your commune spell over the course of the 2 weeks that sort of give you all that intel slowly. I will also, just because out of game, I know another thing you're interested in, I'm going to sort of strong arm a conversation that she would have heard through conversations with her son. Aranil Tenufeil Lunsal will request your presence in an audience chamber at some point in the next 2 weeks. Assuming you attend, she has intel she would like to
that'll probably be
avail
the
you of.
third or second to last day of planned downtime.
Yeah. So this is a bit of meta knowledge I have about your Toby Rama's interests. But Tenufeil will have heard of these interests in loose, stray conversations you might have had with Telperion that might have made their way to her ears. And she will ask about, it sounds like you've been showing some interest in looking for some sort of reliquary through which you might channel some higher level divine magic. And she would be interested in speaking with you on the matter and get an understanding of your interest in such a venture and why it matters to you.
Certainly. I had certainly hoped to find something with perhaps more of a connection to Kelmvor, but I believe it's... And that still is not removed from what I want to do at some point, but in terms of more mundane, it will just facilitate some potent magic that I've been interested in utilizing.
And you believe some reliquary of Seldarin connection may still facilitate what you're looking for.
Yes, I think that it is a summoning spell, so I think that will change the tone of the sort of celestial creature I can summon. It would be something perhaps more related to them, as opposed to summoning something more in line with Kelemvor in his domain.
I see. In that case, I must apologize. When I originally extended offerings of mithril to each of your members of the Forsaken Winds that had aided our people in overthrowing the outsiding, the infiltrating Durastian forces, alongside Kinsalo, a member of the Southern Bird Folk, I was eager to extend a branch of connection through a gift of mithril, which has, for millennia, held esteemed, honored tradition within our people. Gifting mithril, we do not gift it to simply anyone, but close allies. However, it appears I have done so without availing you of the history behind Lirniala, the Quiet's Call. It was written and passed down that Prince Aeneas Wingsight, by whom the bow was created and by whom it was used, who was a revered bow knight who rode a horned stag and protected our populace outside the mythals for where they were not designed to oust infiltrating creatures, he did so as an esteemed hunter. It is said that in his prominence as our people's prime protector in those days, millennia ago, that he was gifted a single strand of the Moonweaver's divine white hair. And in the same fashion as our druids might bind a magical core to their foci and wands and staffs, like the feather of a pegasus or the heartstring of a wyvern, Aeneas of House Nimberthil bound this hair within each of the silver birch halves that formed Lirniala, with the sacred mithril to bind them at the handle. I claim little understanding of your northern god, Kelemvor, this eternal judge, but I suspect that as long as he holds no ancient feud with our beloved Sehanine, his ear may he hear and heed the Quiet's Call. For you already hold a reliquary of esteemed importance. I simply wanted to indulge my own interest in providing history to those outside our culture, but make you further aware of the unique item we prepared for you. Hopefully it may suit your needs. But
This
if
is
you're looking for
immensely-
something elsewhere, we can facilitate that.
I think this may facilitate what I need very much. This helps immensely. Thank you.
Of course. I look forward to hearing how you might utilize this gift of Sehanine in the name of your own deity. As you were, I'm sure you have a busy couple days ahead.
Yeah, and then I've just got something for the second to last day that can wait until everyone's done their downtime.
Okay. How about you, Rome? What's on your mind? What you want to be doing over this 2 weeks of downtime opportunity?
So, Rome is somewhat concerned by the fact that she's going to be in a tunnel for a long period of time out of the sunlight. Which she's like secretly kind of like concerned about, like uneasy about. So in order to train herself for this mission, she is going to, and also like to create a whole other like part of our home here in this area is to use the move earth spell to create like to tunnel down underneath our home.
Okay. Going back to the Alealor ruins as well, and to facilitate some sort of subterranean area.
Layer, yeah, something like that.
Okay.
A layer.
But I mean, like a mat, like it's modeled off of like an ant, you know, like the ant,
Colony.
an ant colony, yes, like what
Sure.
an ant colony might look like.
Yeah.
So she'll do that on the first day, and then on the second day, and until the time that they leave, she intends on casting Druid Grove on all of the ruins.
Very cool. It looks like within the bounds of Move Earth,
Rome's
that's
just nesting.
super doable. Now I just need to get a better understanding of Druid Grove as a spell.
So Druid Grove is I have to cast it once a day, every day for a whole year for it to be permanent. So I guess, I mean, we're not going to be here for a significant amount of time, so I guess I'll just keep track of the number of days that we're ever in this place, the number of times I cast it.
Ooh.
Okay, but you can
And once it gets
slowly
to 360.
begin to imbue some of this magic to take further and further root, at least over the 2 weeks you have available.
Yeah.
So what sort of benefits does this come with? I'm just now starting to read it a little bit.
Side question. What how many days are in a year in this world?
I'd say 365 for my own
Okay.
convenience.
Good
Or
to know.
whatever the Skyrim calendar is, but the Skyrim calendar just gives us cooler names for the 12 months, and otherwise I assume it's the same day count in each of those months.
Okay. So the benefits of Druid Grove are invoking the spirits of nature to protect an area, essentially. So we're going to make it as large as the 90-foot cube, so take it as large as it can be.
Okay.
And then essentially when you cast it, there are creatures who are who like protect the area. I think it's like four grove guardians, so 4 trees will protect the area, and then everyone who I consider as friends are immune to any of the effects that might harm someone, like the grasping undergrowth or the solid fog that can kind of confuse your movement.
Very cool.
Let's see.
Very cool. Yeah, so this is kind of like a bunker, a cellar, just an extra enhanced security area for your party kind of.
Rome's getting ready to be a boss with lair actions.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Druid Grove will be casted on this place, but I want to spend the majority of my time in these, or rather like work up to spending a decent amount of time in these little like ground pockets that I created, so as to extend my ability out of the sunlight.
Okay, very cool.
There's a wizard version of this spell where you make like a fortress, and now I'm just imagining like a wizard and the druid teaming up to cast the fortress and Druid Grove in the same location.
And Temple of the
Dude,
Gods.
add that add the word of recall, and it's like a fucking crazy place.
Yep, definitely. Yeah, very, very, very cool. This place can definitely, you're able to create this. The Move Earth, the place is permanently affected by that. So Druid Grove, over the course of these times where you're spending time in each of these bunker pockets of this colony-esque tunnel system, yeah, you're just further and further soaking in your magic to this place so that it continues to linger, even if it isn't permanently protected yet until a lot more downtime effort available. But that may be available later in the campaign too, hey, a year goes by, and you guys can do long-term stuff like this. So very cool.
Eventually I would want to bring Rolette down there and employ her to set up some lighting in these little caverns.
Or Toby with his like torches.
Ooh, yeah, Toby maybe perhaps can set up some like eternal torches.
Or both. Electric.
In 5e there are daylight globes which you can actually use for like magical plants to like indoors. So like they're like globes that radiate arcane sunlight. So we could even try to buy some of those.
Ooh.
Definitely. What you got?
Nothing. Sorry.
All right. With Toby's word of recall and Rome's subterranean cavern creation, yeah, you guys are starting to trick out your ruin house pretty thoroughly. And I think
Nice.
Rome had also already facilitated sort of a tree house bunker out the top of the thing too.
Yes,
So you
exactly.
guys are,
I'm trying to build out the whole place.
yeah, very cool, very cool.
Maybe, oh, you know what? Some of these little plate, I'll like start storing food in these subterranean levels, just in case anything bad happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's like when you actually start spending time like building up your like house in like an RPG, you know what I mean? Like decorating and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, and I do envision it kind of like that in the video game sense of like, if you guys want to drop 500 to 1,000 gold on like permanent alchemist supply setup, maybe when you do that at that location, it reduces resources and time required because you invested in that portion of your house or something like that. So depending on you guys' interests, you can, definitely further invest in this place if you think it's going to come with some benefits or if you just think it's cool. So very cool. That effort has started, definitely. Any other items people have in mind for downtime resolutions?
So for the bulk of my time, I'm gonna actually approach Minerva. Minerva, I know you're very busy, but are you feeling pent up at all? You've been in your arcane mind. You've been doing all these things for the army. Do you want to shake some rust off?
Sure, but I think you have the misunderstanding that this is not how I shake rust off. The way you like to gallivant with your sword out in the fields, this is that for me. But I'm willing to try my hand at and brush off the rust of swordplay if that's what you're getting at.
I think you're gonna like what I have in mind. Actually, I think I have been stumbling on ways to unite our interests. Maybe it's your turn to come on a little bit. I'm mastering this, and I do a little prestidigitate, little puff of sparking around my face.
Very well, very well. What do you have in mind?
All right, come with me. I'll show you. And I want to go to like wherever we grew up, sparring together, pitting our swords, magic, psionics, all of that against each other. And I do want to just like just do some general swordplay with her, just to like kind of like be like throwing some new things her way, just to like kind of see if I'm like not trying to show her up, but also been like, I've been out there learning new stuff. You want to keep up a little bit? Like, is this throwing you, or just like a little competitive? But then I want to show her. So I've got these. I cast Longstrider myself. This is your way to do this, right? I've got an idea, and if you watch here, and I'll use psionics and move myself quicker than she might expect, and maybe I'll do detect magic. Watch this. No magic required, and I do that, and want to try to see if I can't tap my psionic wellspring to replicate some of the effects that you've been teaching me through your arcane means. I think this is where your interest.
Minerva just starts to smile very satisfyingly and says, these are the reasons I picked the spells I did for your spellbook. A lot of arcane in general, but at least a lot of the basic arcane spells can overlap with some of the Crescent Knight's abilities of old. I suspected you might be able to find an interweaving of these magics, such as speed, for an example. And now that you've used the arcane version of this a few times and are familiar with the sensation it imbues you with, yes, if you can find psionic means of replicating this is exactly what I was hoping might be able to happen. I'm not sure if I thought it was actually feasible or not. I would suggest focus on the feeling of that spell known as Longstrider as you force your way forward, and maybe with some practice that might be feasible. So I think I'd also like to offer you, I had in mind originally, and you chose to use your Forer's Hollow downtime to pursue a different effect. 2 weeks is adequate time to achieve this, but 1 week might be as well. With a week of training, you'll get a check. If you succeed that check, you'll unlock this ability. If you fail this check, you will need to repeat another week of training for it, but you will be able to make that check with advantage now that you've tried and failed at it before. Alternatively, if you succeed the first week, you might be able to move on to another minor tweak to an ability that second week. So, for the first week of training with Minerva on this, I do want just a straight intelligence check.
All right. +3. I do have a D8 of my what's it called? Braves inspiration.
You are welcome to use that.
19.
19 total?
Yeah.
Okay. As it takes you about a week, because it's awkward, trying to transcribe arcane abilities into psionics is not natural, but you keep focusing on the psionic nature, and you had already put in some of the legwork way back long ago in Chimeras when you were training in Corital. You had facilitated the use of some of your psionic energy to move an additional 5 feet in a turn. Well, now you're finding a new way to apply an application to that ability that has for a long time been unused by you. So you have unlocked the ability now to cast Longstrider, not by arcane level 1 spell slot, but by using a psionic dice.
What?
Fuck yeah, Minerva, we did it.
Which I will also clarify, similarly to your Detect Magic and Mage Hand, is not functionally casting a spell. It is using an ability.
Minerva, we did it.
Very well. What else do you have in mind?
I don't know. Like another minor.
Yeah, you have an additional week available. So I think we've discussed another minor ability you could tweak. Yes, it was.
Can you? Yeah, I wrote down the word faint and then I didn't write anything else.
So as a reminder, this one is you have typically always been able to push or pull at a strength save, push or pull people. If they fail their strength save, you could push them with a bonus action application of your Mage Hand. Your psionic touch within 30 feet can affect people's movement. Alternatively here, you could try and use that more quickly, but use psionic energy in a moment to use a psionic die as a bonus action to grant your next weapon attack advantage.
Let's try.
If you are interested in pursuing that, you can make an additional intelligence check based on your psionic capabilities over the course of this next week. Similarly, you might fail it, but if you fail, you'll gain advantage the next time you try this.
Oh, 18 + 3, 21.
Yes.
Once again, now trying these efforts at level 11 instead of level 4 or whenever we were trying these things in training back in Corital, you're finding a more suitable application for these minor powers. So instead of pushing or pulling as a bonus action on your turn, you're welcome to expend a psionic die to give your next weapon attack advantage.
So my next weapon attack. So what I'm picturing is as I'm sparring with Minerva, got the great sword going. And I've definitely been having fun. Oh, yeah, this might result in a conversation. I've been weaving in some what's it called? Blade warding as she's going. So I'm just really trying to throw her. And then what I'd be doing is I would be using my normal bonus action to try to push or pull her. And I think she would be so fast at adapting to it. And then what I would be doing instead is instead of her whole body, it's almost like instead of using a hand, I'm using a finger mentally. And I'm like pushing her elbow up. Or I'm like twisting her wrist a little bit, and I'm using these psionics so that whenever I go in for that strike, I've kind of just like pushed her defenses in a position that's like disadvantageous to come back from, and I'm like sliding in with the strikes in better ways.
Very cool. Sort of more instantaneous and subtle interaction that requires more psionic energy because it's more precise. and you are able to do that. She will also, in those pursuits, will be successful, but she does take note at your style of swordsmanship and weaving in magic, and she's like, you're surprisingly competent at weaving in your arcane pursuits into your swordplay. It took me years to figure out how to do that. Is that psionics at play?
I think this is an infernal cheat, is what it is. And I'll pull back a gauntlet and show her the brand.
Dun dun dun.
I had heard from Mother that there was some deal struck with that woman. That is excellent that it awards you additional flexibility in your swordsmanship. It might warrant a future conversation when all of this chaos is a bit more manageable. We might not have time to dive into it now, but our culture has put painfully little research into the beings of the hells. I am worried about what this may mean for you, as her wording in whatever this deal is. I worry for your future safety and the penalty you may pay for this someday. But no matter, you're tough. You can handle it.
That's what I was thinking. And then in conclusion, I think I would have a conversation with her that we talked about crit on switching out now, especially now that she knows I can do this.
Yeah.
Can you show me that trick that I've always wanted to, the Defy one? And
Yes, and we'll switch zooms as I answer that.
fuck, he looks like a doll. Look at his little demented. It's like a leaf blanket too. It looks like he's wrapped up in a little leaf.
He's my little dome.
He's your little Lempus bread.
I love this
Oh, he's my
bug.
lumbus bread.
Sorry, I know I had a section for this. I just want to find it.
You want to get up?
What's come out?
Oh, it's in this section. There we go. Okay. Yes. So Minerva will eagerly and quickly be able to show you what you have in mind, as it is bound to memory in her as a cantrip she uses often. However, she does not have any cantrip spell scrolls on hand because she has given those for use in the war effort by various druids and other people. So the quarter shaman, Sileth Tealeaf, has some spell scrolls provided by Minerva, but that may be available for purchase, but she does not have any on hand. But you are welcome. She does warn you that changing your memorized equations in an arcane pursuit does take time. So over the course of this downtime, you'll need to study this, and you'll have to forsake some other memorized knowledge to switch cantrips functionally, and you'll have to go study that spell scroll.
And that's actually, so I imagine this conversation would have taken place early as we were starting out, because I would want to also, at the beginning of my downtime, go visit that quartersmith because I want to talk about my crown. And that would be the 2 weeks too.
So quarter shaman of the Selethar, who works in tandem with the quartermaster, is more of a druidic complement to providing and sometimes enchanting their cloaks of elven kind, and he has a network of people that help facilitate the magical arsenal of gear of the Selethar. He's well into his 7th century at this time, long, narrow face, dark, stern eyes, and he has 2 very pristinely braided halves of his hair that hang in 2 lengths in front of his shoulders down to his waist. He welcomes you, eager to welcome a member of the royal family, and number 1 will facilitate your purchase of a Moonflame Blade cantrip scroll for 50 gold.
Paid.
And then we'll entertain your notion on your circlet request.
So I levitate it off my head into his hands. I want to be able to use this magical effect. My thought is, I know the hunters among the Selethar can target a quarry and be able to affect it in more harmful ways. I can't hoping to imbue it like you imbue your cloaks with this kind of spell.
I think I understand. One issue is our availability right now. We are extremely busy. I myself could perform the enchantment you're interested in. I may have to charge you somewhat higher than a typical enchantress may be able to facilitate, just because my time is needed in many avenues right now. I will let you know that I might need to commission one or two captains of the Selethar Rangers to assist with imbuing their magic into the circlet, as well as to acquire, in my estimation, perhaps the blood of a direwolf while it is in mid-hunt, suitable for a component with this imbuement, which I will need to acquire and pay for the services of the Selethar. If you or the royal family can avail me of, let's say, 600 gold pieces, I could have this done for you in time for the march in 2 weeks' time.
Your services are greatly appreciated, and I'll give him 600 gold.
Can I have
Very
600
well.
gold?
And
I've never
so,
seen someone with more bonus actions.
yeah. So over the course of the next 2 weeks, a single item will be enchanted for you, an uncommon item. I have not created this in D&D Beyond yet, but a silver circlet of Hunter's Mark is created for you.
All right, we can sleep easy now. All goals are accomplished.
Which is castable once per day.
Fuck yeah, fuck yeah, fuck yeah.
Okay. Who else? Any other downtime interests we need to tackle, resolve?
Drew's got a few things he needs to do. Just some small stuff he wants to accomplish with everybody. First thing is he wants to go to Rome and have Rome teach him how to take care of his new kind of like terrarium that she's built for him in his bottle of Oran Air. So he'll probably go to Rome and ask her about like maintenance and whatnot, and maybe even seek the advice of the elves and taking care of plants. We do know of a gardener here in Anara in
Anara Wildvine. Yep.
Yeah, so I'll talk to her, I'll talk to Rome, and I just want to make sure Jerry's all set with taking care of his little terrarium he's got with his little bonsai tree. That's actually 4 trees all together.
Perfect. I would say with Rome has gathered some allies / followers in the city due to past efforts, in addition to Anara Wildvine's help. I would say, Rome, give me a nature check with advantage real quick. Clean 15. Jiri, Rome, with the assistance of her other followers and the gardeners of the elves, definitely avail you of some further seeds and advice, in addition to whatever Rome may now or in the future want to RP through. They give you some additional, let's say, components, almost like a component pouch of different types of seeds and vines and leaves, with which you might consider incorporating future growth in your terrarium.
Very cool. Like it. The thing I want to do with Roulette next is there's got to be some like cliff or like some like rock structure that we hear like are nearby. So I might go around and ask the elves like where the something that would be like a rock face that we could do some rock climbing with because I want to go hang out with Roulette and
They
see
will,
if we can
they
rock
will
climb.
suggest pointing you southward, maybe a quarter day's trek through the Emerald southward. There's a beautiful forest-bound waterfall down in that vicinity on your way toward House Wildvine, actually, where that sheer surface drop. It's still within the confines of forest terrain, but absolutely should facilitate, 100 or foot more drop available for some scaling practice, if that's what you're interested in.
So Roulette, when you're like in the weeds with your the whatever you're crafting, when you need a break, Jerry's gonna take you to the waterfall and do some rock climbing to get your mind off of things.
I will very specifically. I will. Well, depending on what end of the cliff we start on, I will very specifically take off my boots, as to not allow myself to cheat with the flight. So, and I will gladly take a reprieve from the workshop. And actually, hold on. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. I will hand you. We'll say this is after I get at least one of them done. I will hand you a small little amulet, and it's very unadorned, very plain Jane on a gold chain. It is just a circular piece of metal. It looks like what you would know as a pocket watch, but it is just like it's been like sealed shut. And I'll tell you to put it on. Make sure it's up against your skin. And when it's up against your skin, you feel your heartbeat a little louder, or you feel it more than you normally would. And this is a clockwork amulet.
Ooh.
And it is
Which I think is an item you can add in D&D
yeah,
Beyond.
you can add it.
Clockwork
Yeah.
amulet.
Oh.
It basically Roulette would tell you that it lets you feel more in tune with your body, and you can utilize it once a day to really, really hone in and get an almost guaranteed strike when you are attacking.
Whoa. Clockwork amulet.
Toby and Rome, you can add one as well, and I'd have the same interactions with you. Basically, it lets you default once a day. When you make an attack, you can roll a 10. Expend a charge.
And I will just clarify that it is forgoing the original attack roll. So it's not, I rolled a 2, I'm going to use this to make it a 10. It's, no, I really want to hit this time, I'm going to roll a 10. So it is a choice to roll that.
And it's not a 10 total. It's like your
the die roll is the 10 plus your modifiers. Yeah.
And it's on any attack roll once per day.
Toby,
very, very
7 bonus actions.
You're disgusting.
I have 2.
Cool.
Wait.
So I'll go rock climbing with Roulette, and then
out of curiosity, is Jiri going rock climbing with Roulette just for fun? Is Jiri trying to get anything out of this, or is it just a break for him as well?
We're dating.
I think he's just trying to, just do activities with the Four Winds. You know what I mean? Just find ways to just have a good time. You know what I mean?
So I would like for you, please, to make an athletics check with disadvantage per the slippery surface of the rock face.
Go, Jiri.
Out of curiosity. And Roulette does not need to make a check.
That's okay. I've got a bunch of different ways to not die. I will either cast levitate, or Shaggy will be there to catch me and put me back on the wall.
Roulette would try and reach out to help. Roulette would try to make that an 8, but not enough.
Yeah, I'm less worried about threat of danger there, and more interested in you're working with an expert climber here. There's something about Roulette that just is the best at this. And so you're trying to keep up with her, and I just almost wanted to use it as a nod to look how good she is while you're trying to do this stuff.
All right, Jiri gets humbled for sure.
Humbled.
But no better training than doing it with the best. So
When you get back from that, then I hear what you guys are doing. Topirian's like piling extra chickens on your plate, and he's like, "All right, protein then if you're trying to get stronger at this climbing stuff." And he's like gonna start going full like muscle
nutrition
talking.
coach.
Yeah, he's gonna start trying to. He's been trying to train your body and your mind, and now he's gonna start trying to train your gut.
Jiri's working on his athletics. With Telperion, he wants to get some sword practice in, except for using his dexterity for his attacks instead of charisma to train just like
Wow.
Jiri himself. So I'm assuming he's gonna get his butt kicked as well in this, but maybe we should have a roll off for this one.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's very cool. In Storm Shadow, as with the Odashi and the Levin's Edge and all the blades before it, is a finesse weapon. I don't know if I actually put that in there, so I may need to tinker with the weapon, but it is available for you to use Dex.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Let's
see what I would roll.
I'm not doing anything else with some of these. I want to be burning some side eye, trying to do the feint to start like, because at first Topirian's like he kind of probably doesn't understand in full because he doesn't fully understand your charisma magic approach. So at first I think he probably sees he's going harder on you, and he then kind of wants to keep trying hard at you so that he can pull back a little bit and then let you he'll stop cheating with the psionics after a little bit, but he's definitely going to be like pushing at first, and then he'll kind of I think he'd catch on to the nature of how you're trying to use it differently. So
I still get a +7, so an 11. I don't think that beats your AC though.
Yeah, it's 18 or not 20.
Yeah, but go ahead and roll in another attack roll, or a couple until you hit. Yeah, let's see how many swings it takes for you to hit Telperion with your Dex.
All right, it should be +7. I'm pretty sure.
If it's Tim, it's going to be on like the second or third try.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Is that a nat 20? Oh.
No.
Not nat.
Oh, rolling d20, I see.
Yeah, but functionally within World, like it doesn't have to necessarily be the next swing unless how you want to flavor it, Tim, but very quickly and maybe surprising himself, Jiri's able to start making some adjustments there.
Little sword play.
And you will hear a voice in your mind say to you, perhaps for whatever reasons I was resistant to telling you this before. But I always knew it was not just my magic at play in your swordsmanship. You have a unique competence and style to you, Jiri. Don't forget that.
Thanks. And then I'm going to see what I can do using this new sword against Telperion too, just because I want to roll it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Make him your X-Blades curse.
But I'm here to help when you need. Let's get him.
That one.
Wait, but can't you roll with your amulet now?
Yeah, but I can't. You have to roll. Am I correct in thinking that you have to decide before you roll?
Decide before the roll, yeah. So I will say, this first swing, as you swing it, using some charisma-based intent, the swing just is way faster and harder than you've swung before. And Hyperivel says, "Whoa, I think we're able to move differently with this blade. The introduction of the mithril feels strange, but it does feel lighter in our grasp. Let's make another adjustment. Hit him again."
All right, Telperion. I got you this time.
Ooh. Holy crumbs.
And that, if I was truly focused.
If you're focused, that's a crit.
That'd be a crit. Smash.
Let's do it. And let's say, who's around? Is anyone around? I'll ask that question. Is anyone around watching Jiri and Telperion spar right now?
I don't know. What do you think, Telperion? Would we have done this, like, where in the Moonset Grove would we want to be doing a little sparring practice?
I think well, so I was probably have you at the typical training ground because there's probably two that Telperion really grew up using. One would be like the royal one and the palace, essentially. That's like out on the turf. And then he also is really used to the Psionic or the Crescent Knight one, but that wouldn't be where he and Minerva were training. So I bet because I think Jiri sleeps in while these two transfers are up early doing their part. So her and I would have done our like bit of sparring for the day, and I think you came out. Maybe Minerva stuck around to watch, maybe not. But if for fun she could have.
I'll say for curiosity's sake, and to see this new version of Jiri that she's met plenty of times, she'll stick around for it. Jiri, as you are focused on Telperion and you crit in this moment, let's go ahead and roll your damage, and then this other phenomenon's going to take place on a crit.
What does focus mean?
Another 10, another 8, and then since it's
Focus adds your charisma.
Shadowstorm is misspelled on your thing.
Oh, yikes.
Shadowstorm.
That's horrible.
Oh,
That's
what?
egregious.
Oh, I think that was me when I put it in as a custom. Whoopsies, hold on, I can fix it.
Let me.
Egregious, he says.
Well, now I'm like, I want to make sure
It's not. No, it's spelled correctly in the original store, and I made it a custom attack, and I.
Oh, that's right, because you do your custom things for the focused and additional language and stuff. And
It's focused new.
Focused his version of Hexblade's Curse that you know at this point.
It's plus proficiency bonus damage.
So another.
Yes. So how much damage on this original strike?
Come on, Jiri.
36.
Show me what you got.
34, and then I guess I could.
Yeah, you could Eldritch Smite if you want.
Should I Eldritch Smite him?
You Eldritch Smite, and you unlock your most potent spell magic against your friend in sparring after getting a crit. Telperion would never let you let that down.
Let's just see. All right, that'd be another 12d8. Hold on.
Hit him with it, Jiri. Don't worry, I'll make it non-lethal.
Yes.
I want you to kill me right now.
Dude, this is
do 91. Do 90 damage.
Let's see what we can do now that we're on the same team.
12d8. Holy fuck.
Plus the original 34, so 85 damage in a single strike.
85.
It'd be so funny if I shield. No, I can't shield from this. I will Psionic Shield though.
Okay, you'll Psionic Shield, debuffing some of the damage.
Yeah.
And Telperion, as you are hit with this and you feel the pain of this strike, you feel a strange sensation, and you can feel a mind within the sword, and there's this collapsing of static psionic energy as Hyperivel synaptically connects your pain to any other creature of Jiri's choice. In this moment, it's not even his choice, within 30 feet, who immediately also take 2d8 psychic damage.
If it's a crit, would it be 48?
No, so it's just the 2d8 splash damage.
Is that on the
crit?
Because
Because that only happens on the crit. So, and it's not to the target, it's just on a crit with this weapon, Hyperivel synaptically forces people around you to feel some of the target's pain. And in this case, Minerva, and you specifically, Telperion, feel this sensation. Being a telepath, you can feel your pain ricochet to your sister, who's just standing 30 feet away from you guys watching, and she recoils and reaches her head and says, "Ow!"
Really? Did that happen, Minerva? As I'm dying.
She'll grip whatever portion of your body that felt the pain. She'll just reach for that portion to be, what the?
So wait, how much damage was it in total?
It was 85 to you.
And I blocked 5, so I took 80.
Okay, so
I'm at
80
10
to you,
HP.
and then 12 psychic to Minerva.
How much of was it any of the damage to me psychic?
No.
Okay. I didn't know if the blade did psychic damage anymore.
It has been now modified slightly. There's still a psychic damage availability, but that's Jiri's choice.
Wild.
Makes it a lot easier if it's just 1d8.
Yeah,
we don't have to think about which one's which.
But still, there is still a portion of it that does still retain the Blade of Lucent Jade's psychic capability, but that can just be used differently now.
Yeah.
Jiri, what happens?
Oh, again, the sword has this like cracked. Oh, I'll send you guys a picture that I updated. It now kind of has this like wavy, almost like a wave, almost like a lightning storm, like crack across the blade. And as it smokes, it also has like a lightning storm inside the smoke. But when you get hit by the Eldritch blast component of it, like Hypervol like comes out of Jiri's shadow and like strikes with a giant greatsword along with him. So you get hit by Jiri, and then you get hit by Hypervol. And we're like, oh, whoops.
I just
Sorry
like
there.
fly back.
We went a little too hard there. My bad. You good?
You think? I'm gonna psionic recover as I levitate up a little bit. Like I heal like 12. I'm still at like 22. You just did so much damage to me.
I'm sure you've been like beating up Jiri this entire time up until he like switched to using his charisma.
I think this is a new beginning to a beautiful partnership.
Jiri, I didn't get you to 5 HP though.
Jesus.
Yeah, my bad. Sorry about that.
It wouldn't be a sparring match between us if I wasn't scolding you by the end of it.
Just had to test them things out. Now we know.
No. It's quite the sword you've got there.
Thanks. And then the last thing I want to do is with Toby. I'm gonna go meditate with Toby, and specifically, I'm gonna have him like helping me meditate. See if I can not necessarily contact his like gods, obviously, but just more so just open up my mind to like other realms or other beings or whatever advice Toby can give me. I'm trying to just calm Jiri's mind. Specifically, I'm going to try to see if I can cast the dream spell on Jiri, on himself, while he's like meditating, not necessarily asleep.
Oh.
Yeah, so Toby, well, what I find is that in my prayer, in my meditation, it's not so much about calming your mind. That is certainly an aspect of it, but it's being very intentional with your thoughts, very directed. Right. So I have a figure, an idea of Kelemvor, and all thoughts, formless and formed with words, what have you, are all funneled directly towards my idea of him, and certainly the source of power he gives me. So if you want to try meditating, just find something to be very intentional towards.
All right. I got it, Toby. I'm going to be very intentional about returning to that place in my mind where the trees are growing. And so I'm going to bring out the jar, the bottle of Oran Air, and I'm going to set it in front of Jiri, and he's going to sit down, cross his legs, and he's going to focus, and again, try to focusing his intent on returning to that place, while trying to cast a dream spell on himself.
Go ahead and make a charisma check against your own spell save DC.
Ooh, I do want to be able to do this, so I think I'm going to see what I can do to reroll. Hold on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna spend an inspiration. I have a ton of them. I want to reroll.
Okay, go ahead and reroll. Subtract one of your many.
Let's see. Can't get a +8 in any way, can I? Let's see.
Do you use your do you have your D8 one?
My bardic? Yeah, I guess I'd have to hope for might as well try it.
Well, I'm trying to think if Meko his memory's no longer.
Oh, yeah, I don't have
encouraging
that,
You,
no.
you don't have
I
that
don't have that.
feature anymore.
But
I
don't you have your
the-
respites, Braid's respites one?
Yeah, I've got the braid. Didn't we already roll? Wait.
Some of you have used that's a one-time consumable. Some
It's
of
a
you have
D10,
used it
right?
at different times.
D8, I believe. I have it as a D8 in mine.
I have something called the Nora Bardic Inspiration. I
That-
think I got
that-
that.
I think that's the same thing. I think you just called it
Oh.
something different. But I think that's the same thing.
For some reason I have it as a D10.
You know what? Except all of you got a Braves respite thing. You specifically got a performance-based benefit like you have in the past. So if you have a Nora D10, I trust your note-taking enough for you to use that. But then definitely just remove it from your character sheet because it is.
Yeah,
one of
because
those ones.
the Braves inspiration was what we rolled ahead of time, and it's like already
Knew
set,
what
right?
the number was to use.
Yeah. I have that as a 5, and then my
Gotcha.
Nora inspiration is a D10.
Okay. Yeah, you're
All right.
welcome to use that.
Let's roll it. See what happens.
8, 9, 10.
No, not high enough. Oh well.
Put all of your focus into this endeavor, focusing on your small terrarium that sort of physically represents what you believe to be your mind state now to some degree. And although this sensation of meditation brings you great peace right now and is very relaxing, you are not yet able to cast the dream spell on yourself. I will say, similar to other people's failures, since you have failed at this attempt, the next time you do this, you can you get advantage on that check.
Got it. Cool. That's it. Last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna teach the entire Four Winds this new game that Jerry came up with. It's called Loaf Launch, and it's where Shaggy is like kind of like a slingshot. He like folds himself, like Loaf sits on Shaggy.
Amazing.
He like folds himself in, and and then like launch and then springs tight, and it launches Loaf, and we all compete to try to catch Loaf.
Incredible.
Hyperion like lowers his slivers, like, oh, we're not trying to hit him.
Toby
gotta
catch it.
bursts out his wings with a bonus action and does a dash to try and catch.
Well,
Loaf.
that's what I was gonna say. Can we make this a very quick, spontaneous mini game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I started on stride, and
Okay, so this is gonna happen, but you guys gotta roll initiative for this. So let me do this real quick. This is amazing.
Loaf launch.
Okay, everyone roll initiative, and I want to see Shaggy's strength check to see how far Loaf goes in the air.
I love this. This is the best part of having Find Familiar.
And what? Animal
Oh.
cruelty? Animal cruelty is the best part of Find Familiar.
Gross.
Can I add a D8 to mine?
I forgot to hit enter.
I'm gonna say not on this first one as Jerry's describing the game. Okay,
15 strength.
Let's say times. He's such a small creature. Let's say times small creature 4. So Loaf is immediately launched 60 feet in the air.
Looking good.
Who rolled first on initiative here?
I'm second. I think
It looks
Rome.
like Rome is first to
Rome.
act. You guys are all standing on ground level next to Shaggy, who's done this. Loaf has been launched 60 feet up. Rome, what are you doing?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna try and catch him.
How are you gonna
Well,
try to catch him?
sure, but are you going to wait for him? I feel like other people are going to be trying to fly and jump upward. You probably don't want to just sit on the ground. You're trying to go grab him like
Yeah,
the
how can you
golden
get 60
snitch.
feet?
50 feet. Hold on
Yeah.
a second. Let's see. Let me do a quick calculation. What can fly? Peregrine Falcon. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna transform. I'm gonna wild shape into a peregrine falcon.
So action is wild shape. Movement is what, 60, 80
It
feet?
says
somewhere in there?
130 feet.
As
Okay,
she
well, number one.
as
holy
she
shit.
leaves our space, as she leaves everybody's range, though.
Oh,
Bonus sentence.
100%. 100%. So, Rome, you action wild shape and begin to launch upward. Who's taking opportunity attacks?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna smack her out.
Dude, if only I had Wardcaster, I would cast like Hold Person or Blindness or something.
Oh, whole person would be sick, but doesn't it have to be melee?
No, it just has to be one target.
That's so cool. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah, and it doesn't specify like attack roll. It's like any spell, kind of. But
Yeah.
What's the
targets.
Peregrine
Minerva.
Falcon's
I
AC?
should know that as a.
Yeah,
as
what
a-
is the Hawk or Peregrine Falcon's AC?
13.
13. So
Alright,
it does
you take
hit.
19 damage.
All right.
Does
so...
that- Does that destroy the Falcon?
Yes, it destroys.
Okay, so this
Jesus.
Falcon,
Next
so this
hit.
Falcon jettisons upward and is slashed with lightning.
There's like
energy,
no.
and Rome just immediately falls back down to the ground in her dryad-esque form.
Don't let
You
him
still have a
smite
bo-
you.
You still have a bonus action and movement available.
Well, I mean, I did no damage, so I can't vicious mockery Jiri. That would be useless. Okay, well, I guess I'll take my bonus action. I'm gonna hide to lick my wind.
Okay, you're welcome to do that.
Alright.
Who's next? Looks like
Rome's
maybe
taken care of.
Toby, I think.
Yeah.
14.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. So what's Toby doing?
Bonus action, his wings sprout from his back, and then he action dash takes off towards Loaf for full 60 feet.
60
Somebody
feet.
get him.
Dexterity check. DC 15 to catch Loaf.
Wait, hold on. Why didn't nobody smack him?
Yeah,
I'm
someone
not
tried
gonna
to
one, I can't one hit KO him.
I wanted someone to do it so I could turn invisible as my reaction.
Telperion could knock him prone. Oh, that's only on your turn.
On
maybe?
his turn, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, yeah.
All right,
DC
Dex
15.
check.
Yep.
Is there anything else I
You
can
get
do?
up to him, but it's a matter of catching the little runt.
I silvery
the-
barbs it.
He's gotta get.
Silvery
A
barb.
check.
60 feet.
Absolutely.
He's gotta get to the ground.
Toby, I don't think so. And I
60
blast
feet.
you. So you gotta roll this at disadvantage.
Or do I just roll?
I
again?
do. I didn't want to waste
You
my
just
reaction.
You just re-roll and take
Yep.
the lesser.
Yeah.
And now I'll use my luck point for the day.
Which you're welcome to.
Trap card.
Trap card.
I give myself advantage on my next dice roll.
Okay.
Holy shit.
20 again! Telperion, you force Toby's original grab off course, but Loaf just happens to fall, ending his peak
Oh,
of
no.
trajectory in that moment, and he just catches.
In my next initiative,
He's gotta make it to the
yeah.
ground. Too.
Oh, you
I
gotta
act-
make it to the ground.
I
Okay, that's
dissipate
the rule.
Loaf as an action.
No.
Sore loser.
And then I action
Everyone point and
surge,
laugh.
And then I action surge.
He
and
turned
I
off
give-
the Nintendo!
And then I reappeared in my arms with an action surge action to do it back in my house.
You are
Holy shit.
Holy.
I'm not. This is my little Loaf. You think you were gonna steal him from me?
That's why I that would have worked nicely if someone tried to attack me and I went invisible, because then you wouldn't have been able to silvery bars me.
Dude, it's amazing. The trap card with the luck point kills me.
Yeah, that was awesome. And then you fall to the ground. Telperion has Loaf in his hand, and technically, I think wins, and everyone starts grumbling about. Well, that's not. We gotta write a rule. That doesn't count.
We gotta write a rule.
Holy shit, Alex.
Holy
that is
shit, that- yeah.
amazing.
Just watch, Mike. You didn't see the.
The fact that only Alex is allowed to do the direct drop is like always one of the best. Like it just adds to the joke every time.
The upside down logo is so funny.
Oh man, we
Holy
gotta write a
shit.
rule.
Oh man. Ooh.
Good.
What else? What else you got? We got 13 minutes.
Now
we
that
can
everyone is
tackle
here,
any loose ends.
yeah, now that everyone's here, hey everyone, I can
Hi, everyone.
safely teleport us now.
What does that mean?
You're gonna find out, and I'll cast Word of Recall on all of us, and shoot
Were
us
we
over
at
to the
dinner?
ruins.
Can we please? Oh, we're all outside.
Immediately, you are all translocated magically to, I think it was like a half day or more's journey westward, in a matter of a second, into one of the rooms upstairs in the Alealor ruins that you all, that Minerva and Co. discovered and that you all
Hope it goes
repurposed.
like this.
But I can get us here safely anytime now.
What's the catch?
It's my most powerful magic.
The catch is he doesn't apparently have permission for us to hike half a day back to the ruins.
And this is why I've never read Roulette's mom.
Oh, that's right.
I'm gonna reset us.
Yeah. I imagine Toby's realization is the same as Michael Kennedy's in that moment of, oh yeah, I can't get us back though. We do have to walk a day's journey east. Or half.
We can fly.
That's true. You guys got
Actually, yeah, we could just take
bunch of
our
stuff.
little
Wind
wind
sails will
sails.
get you there in no time, yeah.
Or
Oh. Rome, can't you turn us into clouds now?
I think better than that.
Clouds.
I don't know, you were talking about how some powerful magic spell that you can cast that turns us into clouds. We can go super fast.
When did I say that?
I don't know. I'm making it up. Windwalk.
Yeah, that's Tim saying, don't you want Windwalk?
Or transport via plants, so we don't have to walk back.
Or via plants. I can move you through a plant.
You should look up Windwalk. I think that's what it's
I know
called,
you
right?
want me to take
Yeah.
Windwalk.
It is Windwalk, but transport via plants is, I mean, for instantaneous travel, even better, but yeah. And now that you know trees locations here in the Alealor ruins, you know trees locations in Athenian, yeah, anywhere you have seen before, if you have transport via plants Rome, yeah, you guys can transport there instantly now.
And there's no like limit to the distance, right? It's just needs
Correct.
to
It's just a tree you, I think, have seen and are familiar with, whatever the language of the spell is. So you can't just guess a tree's location in the far north. You have to have seen the tree and
Oh, we can go like anywhere.
That both of ours work across planes.
Oh, that's big too.
Word of Recall.
Transport via plants is interesting on that front, but maybe that's their game.
On the same plane of existence. Okay.
Okay, so Word of Recall says same plane.
No, that was for transport. Sorry.
Oh, transport via plants is same plane. Word of Recall, though, I'm curious.
Instantly teleport to a previously designated sanctuary.
So the only thing there is sometimes it's
that's
like,
wild.
is the default in this case meaning anywhere, or is the default because sometimes the spell says this does work across planes, and by omitting it, are they saying it doesn't? I don't know.
Rules as written
I would say,
anywhere.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Rules as written, I think it goes anywhere, and solidified by the fact that transport via plants specifies same plane. So I think Word of Recall will get you across planes, but you
So
gotta
if we
be
go
in a different plane.
to the hells with that spell scroll, I can get us back.
That's incredible, Toby.
That's true.
What would we do
And then
without
and then
Downfall?
2 levels, Rome and I will both have access to plane shift, I believe.
Scroll that too.
Hell yeah.
This roll's full.
As Rome does the transport via plants, I'm going to make sure that Toby and I are last in line, and I will purposefully trip him, kick him out of the way, and be like, "Enjoy your hike."
Holy shit!
Holy
Roulette, that was
shit!
thoughtless.
All right, you gotta give me a check for that.
You gotta give me a check.
I gotta hold on. I don't know if this
That's like Zach Oyama. Get me in there.
Gotta get me in there.
Wow, yeah, absolutely contested check. That's the funniest thing because it's so funny and unexpected. Roulette gets advantage on this check. I'm sorry.
Is this acrobatics via athletics or?
Yes, Roulette can use either athletics or acrobatics. Toby can also use either, but Roulette gets advantage.
I could +4 it. And
Advantage
you used your luck point.
for the
You already
big.
used your luck
I
point,
already used my
buddy.
luck point.
I wonder. I'm not gonna do it right now, but I don't have the medallion on. Never mind the clockwork amulet. I will use my athletics just because it's old.
Alright,
23.
so I need a. Oh fuck! I need a nat 20. Damn it.
You
And
wasted
you
both
already
your
rolled
nat
2
20s.
today.
Yeah. You wasted both of them trying to catch Loaf. Oh man. Yeah. So Toby Rama, I'm so sorry.
Walking
You are stranded at. I don't think we've come up with a name for those Ilalor ruins, but you're stranded at that place, and you have a trek back. There are various gardeners and attendants in that location, so you're not alone. People might be willing to travel back with you if they're.
You
going.
probably have a really nice lunch with them.
Yeah. That's hysterical. And I feel like that's where we gotta call a session. It's just is perfect. And then eventually Toby gets back to Ithinian, and the 2 weeks are concluded. We could move. I mean, we can start off with this next time too, but we can just kind of solidify. Hey, who wants control of what unit here? Because that's the unit you're gonna be marching with northward to this thing. Yeah, MJ, what you got?
We're a little early, and I have something I want to do.
Yeah.
That's for the whole group, and I think this might be a good moment since we're about to end, and we haven't just had like a bunch of RP conversations. Cut to in the room in a next meeting. One of the things Telperian's going to want to talk about with the 2 leaders and all the 4 winds is the nature of the notebook that he found. So Mike Jacoby kind of wants to share the contents of that, and I'll email it out to everybody. But there are like key pieces that kind of like for recording purposes and character. I just want to share and like read.
I love that. I'm super on board. So yes, MJ, please send forward that email document to everyone. Since you're sharing it, they can now be aware of all the journal's contents. This is the journal of Illicent, and then his son Eluil established Lux Monastery. So this has to do with Ilalor lore that Telperian was searching for. So this is something you guys just acquired at Moira's lab at Lux Monastery, was this journal dictating some histories and stuff about some Ilalor relevant stuff that has maybe more implications than just Sunborn Elves stuff.
It really does.
So MJ is going to send that PDF. MJ and Telperian and Toby have read this. So those 2 players have also read it, but all of you are now welcome to read this document in case it avails you of any interesting nuggets of, oh, I know what that thing is. I want to talk about that or interact with that, or so it's a lore document that's like, I think 2 pages long, maybe.
Yeah, 4.
Can you give us any details right now?
That's what I'm going to. Yeah,
So I think that's what MJ was hoping to do. Is can we just like sort of table talk this a little bit to close out the session?
So Telperian will take it out and he'll say, of interest here is the ongoings of nations back during the time of the Sundering and the great dark god that I now have a name for. I don't think even our archives have a name. It begins, I am named Illicent, little son born to my father in his 500th year. It is Illicent father whose accounts are here summarized, I believe. So going back, like I said, to these old times. He says initially he was of the Ilalor, so the Sun Elves. When my father would speak of the Ilalor, it was always with great sadness, and it discusses how the Ilalor occupied in Durast, and potentially of interest to me after interacting with the Sundering events in the Great War. They went off north, absconding into the mountains, either searching for the great hero who was lost there. The general.
I'm sending some just brief blurbs in the chat too of just like the trajectory of the Ilalor individuals mentioned. So it's Valens, then Ilios, then Illicent, then Eluil, in case that helps people clarify stuff. And the Dark God's name I threw in the chat as well.
This part is one of the interesting bits. As my father's father who would tell the story, the Dark God's arrival was a result of unprecedented violence that arose throughout the Fourth Era, which acted as a beacon for the fell beasts of chaos and disorder. The growth and innovation and ambition of mortals in that era began to cloud the judgment and tempt avarice, escalating minor conflicts over land and wealth to continent-wide warfare in the matters of centuries. This is the Dark God who I do think I have seen in my trances, and who I believe his body is connected with the creation of celestial weapons. I do think. But anyway, Modera is mentioned, interestingly. It is said that the prime goddess of the Northerns, Modera, the Dawn Mother, was so focused on urging her children toward peace and order that she was distracted when the Dark Dragon attacked her, slipped past her defenses, and clawed its way into our world. The Lens recalled the day they felt it arrive. Supposedly, the entire continent shook with the impact of its emergence, so destructive that it sundered the very center of the continent, splitting it into two halves and decimating the people living within dozens of miles of the blast site. It is also potentially Never mind. So the creature then stalked and it met with the Alealo, and the creature was named Worms of World Ends, Kithiron Uranazir.
Yeah, Kithrion Uranazir, the Worm of World's End. Sort of the populace named this dark god that quote unquote clawed its way into the world.
The account then goes on to describe Cecilia, who was of the Alealo and of the Ithilwinge, so both of Sun and Moon, which is thought to be impossible. She's the one who is depicted in our ruins with the dual swords, one of the swords which now is wielded by the Arcanite. So all of this is very interconnected. It mentions specifically how she formed alliances with the different peoples of the north, including the Gith, a mighty Sphinx, and through these alliances that were made that involved, I think, Aluthir, the devils, was able to fight and wage war to destroy the Dark God. You can read it all here. It's a rather long account, but also Rome, I think your people are mentioned here, specifically the different factions with which they sided. The watery one of you was the only one that sided with the Dark God. I think the fire one of you, the fire myth, the lead, is connected with my people now. And of the storm one, I'm not sure. But yeah. Then he'll share that. I think there's more at the bottom that's specifically of interest, but I don't want to keep summarizing what you guys can read. Yeah, but it is really exciting and brings it connects a ton of really cool stuff.
It basically is like, and if you are not interested in reading this, that's so fine. But I do think this is basically a 3-page lore doc that might provide world context in some way, even if through, individuals that could be unreliable narrators. Like, it's not, I'm not suggesting this is all ironclad 100%, but it's like storytelling documented in a document that Telperion found related to his people, but it also has ties to the history of the world, the Mythiline, other things and nuggets of insight might be able to be gleaned from this document if and when you guys are interested in reading a 3-page thing.
It's so good, dude.
Are you gonna email it? Is that where it'll be?
Yeah, I'm trying to find, like, you'd think that there was an email with all of us on it, but I'll send it to you guys right now.
Bless you.
I'm just gonna send it to MK and Crit, so we have an email that like brings us all in one. So if you ever want to email something,
yeah.
Yeah, I'll specifically have theories and suggestions that are starting to form in Telperion's mind later on based off of this narrative. And I can cite those like things that are relevant. But anyway, that's all I need to share. I really also just wanted you, well, also because I don't know if we're gonna play next weekend because I'm out of town. So I thought this would be something good for us to chew on, knowing that like we're gonna be looking north towards Durast soon. And this journal puts really interesting things up in like Belladonna Durast area on our radar.
Def. So yeah, give that a glance if at your guys' leisure, if and when you want.